It's another pinch onto B as well. Idol set up on arcade, and then the immediate push out with the neon from the other side on dish.
We've got the KJ utility to mark the outside of B main as well, so just to go in for that high-low, and it works out perfectly! Jevkin! What is that double kill? The utility to flush him out, but Xfero's there to trade back in kind, dodges the Hunter's Fury, and the push-out comes through to mark the spike. Lockdown being deployed!
And then holding close with the shorty, they have to push you. He knows, okay, Foxy9, he is gonna be able to break it, but lots of time bought, and as you mentioned, Spike already stranded. And you know where these members are. Yo, man, hasn't had much impact. We haven't had a reason to shout his name. Can he prove it? Only 30 seconds left.
Just a bit of util.
RRQ
Is it gonna be
menang
enough?
terus,
Foxy's so
menang ya.
darn low. Look at Monyet marking his ankle, but ooh, a big swing.
guys.
Foxy takes him down, but unfortunately that's not gonna be enough. Yeoman down outside of tunnel still, and Cushy will pick up the final kill, the last round of the first half, going to RRQ.
Wow. I don't know if we've ever really seen this. I mean, even though RRQ did win that one best of 3, I don't know if it's ever felt like RRQ was entirely on top. It always felt like a grind and a struggle. Obviously, the map's not done yet, but the prep coming in from RRQ, the way they understand Fracture, the confidence that we are going to understand this map better than Gen G. What a good map pick so far in the first half.
Yeah, a map that Gen G
dia
hasn't
11-1
really shown
bro.
much of
Kirain
or
time out tadi.
played much of in the previous year, which was, you know, arguably one of their stronger years. And it's just really showing how much RRQ really has in store for this entire thing. Estrella with the breach setups, the fault line setups, Cushy with his performance so far. But now down to it all. I mean, Monyet's starting to pick up on it as well with some crazy antics.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just the confidence, the movement, the fact that you have a Neon who can move like that. Oh, look who it is.
Oh!
All right.
Familiar
calling some of his friends little piggies. Our own little Korean Busio. No, but I mean, we'll see. It's the T1 members trying to scout out some of the opposition on the other side of the bracket right now. And Meteor watching his old team, seeing if they can recreate some of the same magic. Now, coming into kickoff, Munchkin did say on his own little Q&A session, AMA session, that, you know, it's always tough against RRQ, but we always win. We're going to be able to win again. You know, just exuding that confidence, saying that we were going to be, you know, prepared and ready to go. But so far, maybe they just didn't see the fracture. Maybe they just weren't quite sure what kind of power Cushy brought to this team. 15-4 with 4 assists.
So far, could this be a different story for the first time in a while? Starting things out now, Gen G on the defense. They're slowly pushing outside.
Oh, he's waiting for them to check for ropes. Goes out, doesn't get the kill, but now you have to start moving. Xfero is trapped. Fault line gonna keep them at bay. It's a nice trade. Monyet still able to push through with the frenzy. He's trying to draw the crosshairs away, just barely skirts out. Xfero eventually falls, and that does open things up for a retake.
Straight up for B main, but yes, bit of an opportunity for Gen G outside of arcade, but needing to work alongside, yes, the spikes, and with that wraparound through, Yeoman with the recon.
And we'll see if Monyet gets sight. Where does Estrella go? Does he push through? It's a relay boat to try to buy time. He's stuck now, but Cushy already good for 1 kill. They're buying time for Estrella. It's all for Estrella. They have no idea. He comes in from behind. He misses so many shots, and he absolutely blunders that wraparound.
What the hell?
That's down to Cushy. He's got the recon. Shock dart sent through already, and the spike continuing to tick away. Unfortunately, though, the recon doesn't find anything, so has to push through the smoke. Garrett's just sticking it all the way through. Yeoman gets the shot at the end of it, and Gen G gets to stay alive.
The lack of confidence when you have something like the Frenzy, when you have something like the Stinger, you just gotta spray him down. You gotta move and spray him down, trying to just go for that headshot. Unfortunate for Estrella. The full setup from his teammates. That one hurts because this could have been a quick wrap-up to the very first map.
Still, though, having that many rounds, you gotta imagine they have to just shrug it off. But it could be a bit of an opportunity for Gen G now. Look at the buy-ups, everyone on an upgrade.
Yeah, like you said, lots of rounds. RRQ not gonna go for any type of force. They're just gonna wait with the classics, build up for one big round, try to get to that map point. It is a stack, and now just wrapping around sewers on the B side for Xfero, but look at this. It's not just A main, it's the entire spawn taken over by Gen G. turret setup is going to let you know that he's waiting for someone to push out a B main. He has no idea how close people are. They're just going to have an angle.
So if Experiment receives contact, I mean, if you're RRQ, you just surely send it into the site. That's exactly what they're doing right now, but do they have it enough time, though? Foxy9 still kind of lurking up or around the sides, up around Canteen. And that said, as soon as they sneak on through, the pink shells, everything, Munchkin able to fire back down to Jemkin inside of the smoke, and Foxy9 spots him out.
RRQ would have loved to do some more damage, and it looked like that's what they wanted, just holding by the spawn, seeing where else other members are. They just weren't quite sure how many people exactly were wrapping around, so they had to just get whatever picks they can. It's only going to be one, not the damage they would have hoped for. Meanwhile, GENG starting to see that they still have that window of opportunity. This team, this core, they never gave up last year, and they could be a scary force if RRQ is not able to close things out, anytime soon.
Possibly. But here it is, a chance for RRQ to slap it down to 12. Full buy round.
Deploying drone.
Big drone spots out the neon. So you got to assume there might be some setup there. Even with the relay boat, the neon usually going to rely on some sort of setup to occupy that space. So it draws a lot of attention towards A main. Meanwhile, Xfero's still waiting with the same setup, trying to bait them into checking ropes over by Arcade. It's going to be that B hit. Everybody committed to this. They expect that they've bought enough time on A main, and they would be correct for now. But GENG, when do they get a sniff of this? Well, that's going to be the signal.
And as soon as that shock dart goes off, Monyet now trying to sneak on into the site, but against Karen, Jemkin actually takes the duel.
Foxy.
Now off to Foxy9, and he's maybe looking for the timing, but knows that the site is too hot, so holds for that save instead and waits for his teammates to get on through for spawn. Xfero hears the footsteps though, and now has an opportunity to hold the angle, takes out Texture, and that might have just thwarted the entire retake. The fault line though for Munchkin will work out so far.
Yeah, but there's another one holding another angle. Monyet, okay, Yoman's gonna wrap around. It's a good double peek. Another drone. You need a couple more kills ever since those ping nerfs. And now time already ticking down. There's the molly. It looks impossible for GENG. Looks like they'll have to give it up. Fault line at the ready here. And yeah, that's going to be no time for GENG on the defuse. Him in, but that's time gone, and Jemkin will just go for the kill, get that extra orb.
Match point.
Nice little kill as everything lined up, but yes, I mean, still is that round for RRQ, and Cushy with his performance so far now has the Hunter's Fury next.
And I mean, this time the stun definitely wasn't cosmetic. Munchkin very calm on that one. I love the assist from Yoman as well, but alas, it's just too much. I mean, this has always been the case with Fracture, right? You have that Bram on the other side, the molly comes through, it's so much time bought, even with the ping nerfs through the smoke. And now a different look. Back to pinching onto A. 4-man stack onto Dish. Fault line at the ready. Texture, he gets spotted, but instantly traded. No fault line needed.
So they get to save that up and continue barrel on through to the site.
Oh, bit of a miss there. But Cushy, his job just to try to draw some of that aggro. Allow the main force to get in. It's a good wraparound. Monyet can't get that kill. Sand still in control for GENG. They push through. It's a double team onto A main. And now numbers advantage for GENG.
Starting to feel a little bit claustrophobic for RRQ as they're stuck into it.
Oh no.
Pushes out of the smoke. They found Foxy9, and this is a quick transition over onto the B site.
They're going to get orbital strike as well. No molly, but it's going to be a good post plant. And Estrella's still waiting. Does Munchkin get a read onto this? He has an inkling, so he's going to wrap around. Meanwhile, Yoman already sprinted forward. He gets the kill. Nor orbital strike ready. Estrella, no ult. He does have that fault line. He does have the aftershock, but if he fault lines, this location will be given. He wants to swing out and isolate. Oh, he catches off Munchkin. Must have heard him on the cross. There's the aftershock to push him away.
Oh,
Yoman wins it, keeping GENG in the game for our very first map.
Reading the aftershock, still stuck inside of the animation to swap back to the weapon. That's when Yoman swings out for the kill. I mean, good effort from Estrella, but still, Yoman now really starting to show why he was added to this GENG roster.
Slowly waking up, but how many more chances do they have? See Texture trying to get back in the zone. Things not quite going his way on GENG. Meanwhile, RRQ, still 8 more chances. They won't rush for anything. They have a couple, I mean, they could build up all their ults, right? Obviously, GenG will get their ults as well, but go for something special prepared. For now, it's going to be a fast push out from GenG. On to B main, constantly erasing one part of the map. xFaroe just holding by, might get a timing on the re-clear.
Now looking for it at least, while the rest of the team pulls the aggro back into them, out towards the top of halls.
The position's not great for GenG. You're allowing them to close the gap a bit, but Texture still holding just below the stairs to make sure he has that distance advantage. Monyet gets one, but he instantly gets picked off. That's the spike stranded. And xFaroe just on the other side of the map. See if he can get a pick or two. Well, Foxy9's ready for it. He hasn't really been able to group with his team much this map, but the kills have been racking up on the scoreboard for the new Sentinel of GenG.
That's still is RRQ slowly starting to cycle back up. 3 ultimates online for the next round.
Yeah, but the real question is can they make sure that they get ahead of GenG or past GenG's ultimate turn? Because GenG, I mean, they're no strangers to long games. They might just be able to constantly get the read. Munchkin's very good at that and match ult for ult. Gonna be that cross recon. But this time on to Sands, immediately taking control. Smoke, Monyet, he gets through it, he spots one, the judge out, but it's just too much chaos. They're able to just branch out, but Foxy9 already gets rid of the Neon. Meanwhile, Jemkin through, but Karon never quite cleaned up. Now he's stuck with Spike stranded, and it's just absolute chaos as it continues. There's the showstopper, Cushy trades again, 2v3. They're circling around, GenG trapped on their own site, trying to protect the site. They have no idea. xFaroe's lurk, it's coming from the other side, and he turns around, gets one kill, 1v2. xFaroe, good for one, he's ready, but Karon swings out in time for the headshot.
Just having the numbers again. I mean, full-on chaos and pandemonium, but it still is GenG being able to react calmly, collectively enough to thwart the efforts of RRQ.
Yeah, I mean, this really could have gone either way, but I think the big thing was Karon just holding true, trusting for Foxy9 to get a bit more information, to get that first kill, and then he's able to swing out and slow things down, and that's the spike dropped. And now they know, xFaroe, 2 rounds in a row, 1 eco, 1 buy round, flanking from the other side of the map. That's something that GenG will be looking out for.
xFaroe with his lurks. Constant presence all throughout the map, but at the same time, at least in that round, RRQ was able to flesh out or draw out a lot of those ultimates from the side of GenG as well. So now at a score of 6-12, the timeout being called to try to look for an opportunity to close.
Now, RRQ has tried all the different lanes of attack. The only main one that we haven't seen is perhaps, you know, a 4 or 5 man snack onto B main, but that's always tricky, especially with a lot of the default Killjoy setups. See if that is the last choice, because if it is, I have to imagine that GenG will have a decent read on it. With the lockdown available, that looks like it's what it's going to be. RRQ just hasn't really taken that choice yet. It's a 5 man stack. Do they go for the lockdown first, or will it be used against the retake?
Is the question right now. Starting things off with a little bit of pacing. RRQ already branching out.
Oh, the wraparound under sewers. GenG's ahead of it. Texture,
Boom.
he's ahead of it. He swings wide, but he gets taken out.
Uh-oh.
It's a 5v4. Alarmbot at the ready. RRQ holding to see if there's any other information.
Not going for a lockdown just yet.
Now, Karon does have the orbital strike. That bought them time to get that ult orb. So this lockdown will be eliminated instantly, and RRQ getting a sniff of that.
Well, xFaroe continues to hold. If someone does peek out, he's 1 kill away from the Rolling Thunder. GenG still keeping themselves defensive, continuing to hold. I mean, Karen's positioning outside of Arcade as well.
If they're going to go to A side, I wonder if RRQ uses the orbital strike to clear the site, because you have 0 information. You're trying to draw a lot of attention onto B. Monyet just going to be the bait. He gets one kill. He's still alive. Chaos ensues once more. He gets the double kill. All eyes on the B side. Foxy9 panicking on the A side. What does he do? What's the call? We still do not know where the spike is. but no more movement on B. Foxy9, he's ready for it. He needs to get multiple. He's stunned up. Can he do it? He tries to anti-flash. He only gets one. Lockdown now opening up the site. Orbital Strike will break it, but the spike still going to plant safely in the corner.
Hops on over onto Heaven to try to look and clear.
Tapi seharusnya nih RRQ
Slowly
guys.
isolating the angles, but the rolling thunder at the right angle, and
Nice,
Monyet
dude.
swings out just as it's about to collide. RRQ will close out the first map.
13-6, given an 11-1 half. I mean, GENG put up a hell of a fight, but it was just a little bit too late. As RRQ, they call the timeout. They go to that one lane. They haven't attacked yet in the second half, and they'll close things out, trying to lead 1-0 in this best of 3.
So good so far. I mean, yes, GENG still being able to fight, right? But RRQ have been looking so darn incredible, especially in that first half. I mean, talk about an 11-1. Their setups with everything that they've got. And on top of it all, I mean, it wasn't just Monyet being that crazy. It was also Cushy being able to collect on a lot of those kills.
I mean, it was Cushy for most of that first half. Monyet, again, the movement, we're seeing how the new Neon's being used. I respect it, but Cushy really having impact kills and just a lot of kills as well throughout this entire map. Once again, I mean, I don't know how many times you have to say this, but proving exactly why he was picked up just time and time again. That was a neat little trick, though, from Monyet. A good clutch up against Foxy9. But the real question now is was it just a matter of GENG warming up? GENG trying to get that read against RRQ, because now we have to get prepared for GENG's pick on Lotus, and we know how comfortable they were on Lotus all throughout 2024.
And this is where RRQ really needs to hunker down and show us what they are truly made of. I mean, that Lotus that GENG has been so indomitable on.
Well, that's going to be it for map 1. It went a little bit longer than perhaps expected, but RRQ able to celebrate a first map victory. We'll send it over to the analyst desk to break down the action before we return with the map 2, Lotus.
RRQ is definitely vibing right now. GENG managed to get a couple more rounds in the bag, so they're not entering into map 2 with their tail between their legs. But RRQ looks like they have fixed a lot of things. They've got the core roster there, and they look solid. As Chobra and Quack were saying, the addition of Cushy, he's just slotted so seamlessly into this team right now. It's just that last missing piece to make them move forward.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Look at this RRQ finally popping. Let's go. Okay, I can't get too ahead of myself. They don't win anything yet, but that's a great opening map. I mean, GENG started a little slow, like we saw with Talon earlier, but I think you should bow your head in shame and apologize.
No, not yet, not yet. Honestly, like RRQ, we'll give them credit where credit's due. Okay, they've had one rocky map that they should have won, but 3 maps in a, like 3 of the 4 maps they played, they have come so hot out of the gates and absolutely been stomping their opponents, both TFM and even now GENG. That's a really legit win. What I will say about GENG though, even in the off season, occasionally they lose some pretty one-sided maps. I remember the Soup League final where they lost some, you know, pretty one-sided stomps. So a little slow to start at times. Fracture is not a map that they played too much just yet. RRQ clearly had the right read. They got the veto figured out and everyone was performing, whereas there was really no one that was stepping up at all from GENG. That was a very, very slow start. So they're going to need to wake themselves up very, very quickly. They're going to need a big, big talking to from the coaching staff, because Lotus should be good for them, honestly. Like looking at the map stats, looking at the fact that they absolutely stomp Talent, because they have that stomp potential. You see that in the off season as well.
Oh, that's the hopium in you. In Pilski, hoping.
I mean, look, what I will say, Cushy absolutely so for diffing Yeoman that game. Like, the man is the truth. He has had very few bad games so far between the off-season as well as the main league here. This man is really slotting in well. He's fragging very hard on that info initiator role, and both of these teams opting to go for the Sova here. This is Jemkin's 3rd map of Brimstone in his career. He has very rarely played that, so you're seeing RRQ very comfortable with this core of swapping over which agents they're putting certain players on. You've even seen Jemkin thrown on the Sentinel a little bit, and Monyet has that duelist potential as well. But there were so many cool recons from both teams, taking arcade control, the tree takes, and things like that. That is the difference of, we were kind of predicting the Teo being quite a popular pick at the moment, but the Sova is not really the main initiator you think of when you think of Fracture, yet both of these teams, as their info initiator players, have a lot of comfort on the Sova. Both picked the Sova and both had some cool stuff to show. Unfortunately, Cushy a little bit better. You know, he's fragging people and winning with the Sova ult here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what the Sova brings. I think the ult is very powerful, and you have a lot of long-range support tools, which is really nice. But as you mentioned, even before the veto, both of these initiator players are very comfortable on this Sova, and I think this is a map where we can see it work. It's become slowly more and more popular. I do think Teo has been taking over, but it's nice to see teams go back to this, especially when it suits them the most, I think. You don't have to shoehorn something in if it's not right for your team.
Yeah, I mean, Monyet and Texture, you know, we saw a little bit of banter from them in the pre-stage as well with the walkouts. They were definitely quite happy to be taking duels with each other, and I'm sure Monyet's quite happy to be on the duelist up against Texture, especially when very little is going wrong for his team there.
Exactly. Monyet's still doing Monyet things, though, sliding into death. And of course, only Texture can, you know, nail down sliding neons there. But it's a lot of fun to watch, and I'm expecting to see the same exact duelist matchup going into Lotus.
Okay.
As we know that RRQ likes play, they switched Monyet onto the Neon, who's originally on the Omen, and they found a lot of success with that. Gen.G, on the other hand, Texture's always been on the Raze, and we were talking about last year's performance. They kept the same comp. They had the Fade Initiator in there, and it's provided a lot of success, but this was with a different squad, without Meteor there, missing 2 of the same players from last year. Is this going to be the same result? Is RRQ finally going to close this out? Are we going to get our first 2-0 of kickoff? What's really also interesting, Gen.G did get knocked down to lowers last year during kickoff, and they kind of needed that run, and that's when they really evolved and you know, went to Super Saiyan mode. So maybe this could be the case for Gen.G. All I know is that RRQ does not want to lose to Gen.G again.
Yeah, as the caster said earlier as well, Lotus has been a very good map for Gen.G historically. Yeah. There's a reason why they will have picked it coming into this. I think they should be able to reset. Like we said, we saw Talon start slow in map 1 earlier. I do think that there's that little element of coming in cold.
GE as well versus Secret, same story.
I think it's very much, it is a very real phenomenon. So turning that round to map 2, we've seen teams be able to do it, but can Gen.G bring that here? I think this is a real comfort pick for them. So I'm excited to see if they've changed their composition or not. And I guess we have to go from there because they can't get upset like they did in that first half. RRQ just steamrolled them, and the last thing you can do if you're down that first map is lose momentum.
And even as an RRQ supporter, you have to say at times they have a tough time closing out games, closing out series. That's a very nice start to the series, but the job's not done yet.
That's very true. And one thing Gen.G is very good at is not losing their heads when they lose a map. We've seen them come back and pick it back up, especially, and it's with, you know, vibes merchants like Texture on your team, keeping things steady. They still have Karen. I believe in them to be able to recuperate themselves. Their mental is not so weak, and this is why they're so successful last year.
Yeah, and like we said, this map pick is huge for them. It's going to be their ultimate comfort zone that they can, you know, feel their way out. We saw them be so comfortable with that meta comp that a lot of teams really copied and evolved into their own style. So I agree with you. I want to see if they bring that same meta comp and approach. As for the side of the boys on RRQ, this is a map that hasn't really gone the way they would have wanted in the off-season. I think Talon is a team that if you use them as a measuring stick, like I said in the pre-show a little bit, and the fact that RRQ is playing Talon close on that map, then you can kind of question what their strength is going to be on the map. At the same time, though, it really feels like the coaching staff of RRQ and all of the players with all of the history in this matchup, they have very clearly got themselves pumped up. Like in the huddle, I could hear the yell from them down on the stage down there, and they were clearly very fired up to try to win this matchup. You can tell they really want this dub.
Yeah, I mean, you know what they say, it's not always about the expertise, it's really about who's hungrier for it. And you know RRQ wants it so bad. They wanted it so bad the year before, as well during LCQ. But this is it. They're obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if Ewok spent all of off-season just making sure they could beat Gen.G. Like, that was his whole plan the entire time.
On the flip side of things, like contrasting that, is last year going to be the year that Gen.G looks back on as their best year ever? Or are they actually going to be able to step up to that standard again?
Yeah.
I think staying consistent in Valorant is very difficult as well. As the patches change, as different agents come and go.
As they throw like tidal waves and missiles into the game and whatever else the next thing is, you know, like
it's incredibly
getting closer and closer to a MOBA at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that. That's awful. No, this is still a nice tech FPS that we deeply enjoy. Teho and his missiles are kind of fun. Interesting, we didn't see it on Fracture from either one of these teams, but I would have guessed RRQ would have pulled out the Teo, but like you guys said, he leaned to what they're good at, and those two particular players, solid as Sova.
I do want to see the Neon come out again. Monyet looked very, very natural on that Neon.
Yeah, he looked great.
I expect it, yeah.
Honestly, it's an agent that's so well suited to him. He loves just like running around. He just has so much fun when he plays. Like the double slide, like it's built for him.
Yeah,
it's
the
built
movement,
for him,
the movement agents, even the Omen and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like the shrouded step TP plays and things that he does. Any agent with movement with Monyet is like beautiful to watch.
I remember being sat there, you'd watch him play, he would play ranked, or you'd see him in scrims, and he'd get some cheesy kill with a shotgun or an Odin, and he has the funniest laugh you've ever heard. It's very, very hyper. Like that. And
it's infectious.
yeah, it'll live in my head forever. It was a beautiful moment watching him have fun and play the game.
Yeah, in fact, Neon Zeus Monyet means monkey, and it's just his playstyle is very playful, and he definitely likes to poke at the other team and give them as much trouble as possible. I would, like you guys said, love to see him back on the Neon. Oh,
change
okay,
up on
RRQ
RRQ.
has swapped it up.
Yeah, so they were playing, I think, Breach Sova before on this map. Now onto the double controller with the Vice as the solo sentinel. They've got Cushy on the Fade. I haven't really seen him play too much but Sova yet. And for Gen G, that's the stock standard. I mean, that's the comp you back yourself with to win this whole tournament, probably, whoever you're playing Lotus against.
Yeah, these comps are obviously very, very close. The biggest swap is that Vice for the Killjoy out of the default comp. I think Vice is in a very great spot, so I'm excited to see how RRQ use it.
These two teams just played a mirror against each other, and we saw how that went, so we'll see.
Well, I hope you're ready to kiss Jemkin again on today's broadcast, because he's on the race. We're going to go to our casters room map to Lotus. Chobra and Quack, please take it away.
Thank you very much. Map 2, RQ leading 1-0, but this composition, this map, this is where Gen G was always turning things around in 2024. Pretty much the whole time in Pacific, but even quite a few times internationally as well.
Yeah, so strong. I mean, same comp, right? But slightly different players. And this is why we're all waiting for it. I mean, truly, Jemkin back on that race against Texture.
See what Jemkin can do. Taking things a little bit on the second line there on that first map as at Brimstone. Now he has to be that spearhead for RRQ. Monyet back on to that Omen. He can still be a little bit of a trickster, but it's going to be a straight-on fight. And Jemkin and Cushy both win the 2v2 over by A main. That's going to be the Razorvines pop just to buy time over by B.
Just being able to hold the angle, but yeah, there it is. Slows it down a little bit. Texture can't quite break through, so continues to try to land a couple of pot shots, but nothing found truly. While the rest of the team, or well, I should say that the last two players.
Let's go di map kedua
And I love that
di
RRQ
Lotus,
is
guys ya.
waiting on B, because if
Map
we're going to
pilihan
rotate on
geng.
A, we just fall back, we go for the retake. But did they leave anyone else? Is there any movement on B? Now Texture just trying to buy time. He's tasked with the impossible of buying attention, but also ideally getting one or two frags. And eventually, they'll push them off of A site as well, now trying to regroup.
Oh, and Flash comes out as well. Oh boy, Texture trying to hide back behind pillars alongside Yeoman.
Oh, they back off? Yeah, they notice that it's more than Texture. They say, okay, well, they've regrouped. That's fine. We can regroup as well. Making sure to keep that numbers advantage. A very new and refreshing look from RRQ.
Refreshing. I mean, it's what they've got, so trying to work alongside that advantage, right? Jemkin not really extending too far out, while the rest of the team, the trio, truly staying up by Baby Door. Spike will go down on the site at the very least, though, but this is where you want to see that retake happen. Jemkin does have the paint shell, so he's kind of saving that for the right opportune moment.
Yeah, Estrella is quite far out, though, and now trying to bring up the rear, trying to clean up rubble, but the rest of the team already has it cleared up, so he should try to just sprint up and try to gain information that way. Meanwhile, the entire team of Gen G on the site. It's a double, and it's a nice jump peek. Cushy with the trade, but Charon still holding strong on the site. 2 members left of Gen G, 3 on the other side, but Jemkin and Estrella have already taken damage. Jemkin, can he win this duel? Charon's ready for it. Jemkin, there's the paint shells. It's going to force Charon to move, and Xfero will clean up the site.
That was lovely. The paint shells, the way that he threw it, but at the same time, truly, the way that RRQ came in with that first initial point of contact on that retake, jumping over like that, yo, Gen G were kind of stunned up by it.
Yeah, you know, some things just never leave you, right? You join Paper X once and then WU Gaming, the jump peaks out. I mean, it just doesn't ever leave, but this was a huge 2v2. The fact that you take down the Killjoy, even in the pistol, it just forces Gen G to have to move as a group. And then RRQ being patient, not overextending. I mean, yeah, look at what you can get with that.
Oh my god.
Wow. So they get to buy up 2 Guardians and 1 Bulldog, 1 Spectre. Monyet on the Ghost. Still is Genji on those shares, though. Quite deadly.
Yeah, and the idea is still going to be the same. You swapped out the Vice for the Killjoy, but it's really the Sentinel plus Viper delaying so much on C-site, right? But now you have an extra flash. That suits RRQ a bit more, a team that likes to fight. Curious to see if Genji, just like Talon, will be able to draw out that shear wall nice and early to make sure they get those rotations. Uh-oh, spotted by both of those. Good hit onto Cushy. He actually gets the kill, but Jemkin with the cleanup.
Still, though, not too bad with that kill. At the very least, a bit more information for Jemkin, so trying to work around his teammate now, just up around Baby Door, thinking about a potential B push. I don't know if they're using the Yakrosh just yet, but no intel so far. More thinking about the A site. Jemkin comes back in to reinvestigate. Ooh, spots him.
Yeah, you saw him calling right away on that cam briefly, just making the call that there are members on Rubble. So now the weight shifting over, holding that blue room. You're not going to overinvest. Jemkin's still going to be alone on the site. We'll see if he can hold on to that rifle, because a rifle given over could spell danger for RRQ. Xfero's going to be there for the trade. Jemkin gets one. Xfero immediately peeks out. It's a good double team, and bouncing back and forth. Jemkin gets a 3K.
So good, you know, just being able to work around the map that way, reading Genji's movements, and if it's back into 8, we do have the positions and the crossfire set up for it, so Jemkin being able to hold from the side, Xfero from the stairs, just being able to go and spray all of them down.
Now, of course, that was your anti-eco. So meant to win it, not losing out on too much. Cushy, the only one going down there, and Jemkin just holding strong on there, even despite being paranoid. But now we'll see Genji with the buy.
Still though, this is a chance possibly for RRQ to fight back for that bonus. Genji back towards Mao. This time the buy setup not quite there. Arc Rose might have been broken.
Looks like Xfero still holding on to it, not used just yet. No trap play used over by Mound. It's just the shear wall. If they try to trip it, you try to get a cheeky kill, but for now, all right, popping the Razor Vines as a measure to make sure that you can catch whoever is actually over the wall. That is a lot of utility already spent just from the jumping, but now they have the Arc Rose there on the C site. So really, it comes down to Monyet. How much time can he buy on Rubble? How much information can he get? And more importantly, can he get out alive?
Yeah, you got to think about the possible
TP,
but there's only one of it now, so it's going to go straight into Baby Door. There it is. Into the smokes, trying to stay alive with the off angle, but he's been spotted out by the Haunt. Paint shells will get sent through as well, but he manages to tuck himself neatly away. However, that does mean that the site is pretty much open. Cushy tries to go into the smoke, but unfortunately spotted out by Texture. Look at how proactive he is.
Huge kill, making sure that there isn't anyone still lurking around for a fast flood onto the A site. Meanwhile, over by the C side, they did hear Foxy9 rotating late, so RRQ now knows that it should be everyone over by the A side. What's the retake going to be with only 4 members? No fade, no info. You just have to trust that the setup is good. There's the flash on to drop. Now going by on both sides, trying to catch out Texture, but he's tucking away. Yeoman has him covered. Everybody covering a different angle, covering all bases from RRQ. It's a double swing out of drop, and they both get sprayed down, lining up for Yeoman. Bit of an unfortunate timing there. The spacing not as good as it could have been. Monyet still going for a third, but there's gonna be no kills. Flawless for Genji.
So clean, so flawless, and just a beautiful way of how they're kind of working across the map, you know, baiting out that utility from RRQ at the same time, right? Back into C, you deal with that wall, which is something that they are going to need to do a lot more often. But at the same time, you know, just kind of spotting out Monyet and going so quickly into the site. Texture getting that first kill against Cushy really put quite a bit of hurt against RRQ's numbers.
Now the Odin comes out for Xfero. So the Vice gonna start to set up
kalau di set C,
by
pertahanan
the
susah itu. Kalau habis,
still able to delay Razor Vines as well.
Tempat sembunyinya nggak ada kan? Kalau kita mau sembunyi, kita harus keluar.
You know the Odin's there, but are you aware that it's gonna be a
Kalau dari
two-man
B,
stack?
wah kita bisa diserang dari 4 sisi itu. Bokong, Spawn.
Not quite sure that his elbow was showing. There's the showstopper. They know the Odin's still in here. Genji,
Dari depan,
well aware
belakang,
that there's
kiri,
at
kanan.
least one more member. Texture, he's weak. If he swings out, this could spell trouble. But the gun swap the timing! Gets some damage onto Xfero. Now he's trapped, drawing out util. avoiding the C's. There's smoke, but it's just too many members. Meanwhile, Jemkin does come in from behind. They're able to clean up at least one hit. But look at the position of Munchkin hiding in that smoke by stairs, just keeping everyone at bay. Kushi now trapped in drop. Jumpkin has to help him. Jumpkin has to go through. There's a good paranoia. Gets the kill out of the smoke. There's the paint shells. He's getting caught from both sides. The showstopper shut down by Karon. Kushi, how is he still alive? Monyet finally finds an opening, and he will save his team from another round loss. Now RRQ leading 3-1.
So chaotic and a lot of things happening, but at the same time, RRQ being able to actually work off of a lot of it. You know, it might be that kill that comes through, or just unfortunate for Xpero, who's like trying to swap on over to weapons inside a tree. But as Jemkin pulls out the showstopper, right, and pulls so much of the attention away into him, who is just one guy. And that allows for Monyet, alongside Kushi, to kind of find those split angles to work their way back into the site. So RRQ, not too bad. You know, they get faced with adversity, but it's not too bad for them. They're still able to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering that you spotted Kushi on the drop, but you just didn't have Yuta left to draw him out, because you used it all trying to get Xpero over by tree. Now the shear wall coming up late. They realize pressure coming to the seaside. You'll use it, set it up to go for that delay. Texture just trying to scout things out. Australia not quite in position to get that early kill. Shear wall still active. Haven't quite cleaned it up. The smoke right outside of it, so they're not even able to just get a cheeky little jump peek.
Shear wall still online as well. As you go back onto the other side of the map, here you got Monyet up on top.
Now Kushi gonna clear that. It's an instant swing. I love the bait and switch.
What the hell is
Kushi.
that? Rossi, Kushi.
I mean, when you have an initiator like that, you can go for these risky plays.
So sharp with how he's able to swing out to get that shot. And then this is now Gen.G without the numbers. You know, maybe Foxy9 sneaks through, but no! Jemkin's on the other side and he's ready to receive. As you head on over into C, the off angle's being held. You got Xpero in for additional support.
You gotta save.
Yeah, you gotta save. There's no option.
And one thing that Texture would have noted right there before the smoke bloomed is that the shear wall a bit away from that gate, so that when the smokes come up, you can't just safely jump peek it. You actually have to go in. So if they're holding from the box, they could still get that kill. If they're holding from the pillar, they could still get that kill. That's something that Gen.G will now have to consider when they decide when do we take that shear wall out to make sure that we're able to get through that C site.
Yeah, so slight adjustment.
Round kelima dimenangkan oleh
That's kind of the
RRQ.
impact of it all. You know, Gen.G can't quite find their way against that sheer wall, right? And at the same time, now you're thinking back into it. How do you come back into re-clear A when you got this player here?
I mean,
Nice.
Kushi is he's ridiculous, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's the word to really describe it all.
I really think he's in the running for the most impactful pickup in the offseason. I mean, just because he's really transformed what RRQ is able to do, because they're able to work around him as kind of this carry, but here's a fast hit onto Rubble. Texture not able to get on top. He has to push back. Texture still spraying through, picks up the kill against Jemkin. The rest of the members of RRQ, they've already committed, but now they have to back away. Toxic Screen buys him time. Monyet safely tucking away in tree. Not damage taken on anybody else. Meanwhile, Karon quite low with only 11 HP.
Yeah, so maybe a way for RRQ to kind of strike back against Gen.G if Karon is down low. But that said, wanting to kind of set up towards Rubble, not quite being able to do that does hurt RRQ quite a bit. So now they're kind of having to keep themselves anchored down into the A site. Watch the exits of Baby Door, especially where Xpero is. But this does leave C a little bit open, so you're kind of banking on that sheer wall to do quite a bit as well. But right now, Gen.G still biding their time.
Yeah, they'll just hold. Now, I imagine that Foxy9 will have to trip the shear at some point for it to work. But Yeoman getting spotted in Rubble. That's unfortunate because you wanted to hide all information before the shear wall is tripped. It's tripped now, but there's no movement from RRQ. They already saw that the fade was here on the A side, and they're still holding by. Xpero still gets one kill, and there's the cross. Doesn't get both. Thankfully for Gen.G, Spike is still alive.
Okay, so Karen's able to kind of deliver that over onto C, while the rest of the team, though, working as a duo, trying to get a hit to cut off those rotations. You still have a 3-on-3, so this is possible. The Prowler goes into clear. Kushi is ready. Look at him! Able to gun down Munchkin, and Foxy9 has to back off. The arc roast to throw off his crosshair placement as well. Look at that peek. So quick, so smooth, so clean. It's down to Karen. He's 11 HP, but still maybe able to make it happen. Kushi with the spray to end Karen's game.
What a great performance
Wah,
from both
Kushi
of these
menyala
players.
nih di
Karon,
match ini,
the rookie of the
match ini,
year
guys.
last year, but Kushi gunning for that spot already in 2025. What are these shots coming out from the new initiator for RRQ?
So incredible. Anticipation on top of it all, just to think that, hey, the spike got planned a little bit early. I got to use my Prowler check and clear spawn.
Yeah, and then still going immediately because you know you tagged one with the Prowler, so it's still a 1v1. Foxy9 not able to have the confidence to just really swing out. You hear the confidence in his voice as well. And that's a timeout because it wasn't just the shots as well. It was the fact that off of that haunt, Yeoman gets spotted and RQ knows we don't have to worry about that sheer wall being tripped just yet. Let's focus on the members we know about. Let's take them out. And if we don't see them in rubble, then they're going for a cross. Estrella tries to get ahead of it and is able to pick them off, buying a lot of time for the rotates.
Yeah, it's just so smart with how everything's playing out for RRQ right now. But at the same time, just Kushi. That's truly
Kushi. Terlalu menyala abangku.
For this current matchup, despite Karen's best efforts, right, spraying through that smoke in the last moment before it blooms.
Well, so only 10 seconds left now. 10 seconds left now for GENG. Looks like Solo, a lot to share with them. And I gotta imagine a big part of that has to do with the Vice setup, right? I mean, we talked about it in that first match as well, but the sheer wall is unbreakable. That means you have to trip it at some point. Otherwise, it's free information. Otherwise, it's so easy to shift your weight. You could go for a, you know, like a cheeky 5-man jump over, trigger it all at the same time. But we've seen that, you know, be a little bit of a mistake sometimes. Okay, it's just a fast hit onto Rubble again. They still want to focus on that A side, but it's Jemkin staying still alive right under that one-way. And then once again, the trade from Kushi. The timings, the comms, it's also good for RQ. And now, once again, Foxy9 all alone, wondering where his older brothers have gone.
Nowhere. They disappeared. It's a magic trick from RQ, and they got Avada Kedavra.
I mean, unfortunately.
The spike's down, and I mean, he might be able to kind of pick it up. No. The angles do not work against him. High-low setup as well, so he peeks out, and that's just the headshot. I mean, this is like a potential swing round pickup timeout from GENG, but RQ gets ahead of it. You saw that paranoia through, and Jemkin, you know, instead of, usually it would be like the Shrouded Step, but Jemkin blast packs in ahead of it, alongside the Haunt as well.
Yeah, the timing and then just the trade ready too. So as long as Jemkin stayed alive, the fight was always going to be RRQ's. And unfortunately,
oh no!
RRQ menyala
liking what he
abangku.
saw. Now, something that we noticed in that last round was also the Vice setup was different on C side. It was a lot further behind. And now this time, Vice coming back over to that A side with the Odin. Trying to keep them at bay. Texture gets hit by the Haunt again. No one's clearing that Haunt. This is what Foxy9
Tadi
likes.
Kushi,
Come
sekarang
to me,
Foxy.
fight me,
Anya.
because I can 1v3.
1v3 he does, continuing to tap onto the door as well, you know,
mereka ke B
just
nih.
being able to push on in towards the B site. Estrella trying to keep them on their toes, but yeah, without the numbers, it's not too likely.
Yeah, given the creds, you imagine maybe some damage trying to be done, but with the Odin, perhaps Xpharaoh just going to hide out, see if there's any overextensions. Meanwhile, on the side of GENG, you can't really afford anything lost here. So they're all holding close angles on site, ready to trade off of each other.
So ready. High-low on the boxes, Foxy9 right below. Even with the Odin, I mean, what are you gonna do? Really drag your crosshair all over it? Not gonna happen. Foxy9 looking for that ace. He's already got the fourth.
See if he can get it. He only has 450 credits, so he's getting antsy.
Go.
Probably asking for permission. Munchkin, can I go? Can I go get this ace?
Alright, help bait for him.
He's been given the free reign.
Oh!
Can he go? Shut down. Unfortunate, but Foxy9 proving when he shines, where he shines. He's talked about it time and time again. If they would just fight me, I would love to fight. But when he has to start creating space and work the macro with the team, that's something he's still trying to pick up. Yes. But man, yeah, when it's just like in ranked, it's 1v2, 1v3, he's ready as always.
such a strong player in that regard. But somewhere on that stage, you know, Texture's mind, he's chuckling away.
Oh, yeah.
It happened to you, too.
That would have been great if Texture actually just went out and stole it from him. He's like, not anymore. Well, 2 rounds now for Gen G. Still too early to celebrate on this attack on Lotus. Now, I will say, Gen G, they've always done very good on the defense on Lotus, so I don't think they'll be too worried if they can even get up to 6, maybe even 5. But we'll see if they can even get there first.
Needing any advantage possible, truly. All right, not quite able to hide from that boombot in the thin little column, but still back into it. Gen G now retrieves a little bit of information, but not too much on the A side. It's still a lot of space being afforded to Gen G.
Yeah, you have that Seal Garden if you want to use it for the retake, but Lockdown also available for Foxy9. Now, something I think RRQ recognized from that boombot was the fact that it wasn't shot by anybody else, but it activates late towards pillars. So they're just assuming that it's alert, whether it's Foxy9 or not, and keeping their eyes trained on a bit of reach positioning from Gen G on the A side.
It's that reach positioning, though, very key, right? The Prowler just coming in to clear out the top of Heaven, and Gen G is kind of dwindling down that time, you know, playing a lot around these positions. The Lockdown gets deployed alongside the Steel Garden as well, but this is where now the contact starts to happen. A bit of kills, a bit of trades already through, and Jemkin trying to sneak on into the site to take that fight in towards the back of Tree, but it's so far back safe enough that these 2 players from RQ will get detained. Cushy, though, comes in for that support, takes down Yeoman, but inside of Baby Door, a bit of a spam, and Karen will find his contact. On towards Monyen, and a quick swing on the conversion into the double kill, pushes even further on into the last minute Viper's Pit, and Munchkin will not survive.
Unfortunate, because what happens is that Monyet gets detained, so he actually can't trade immediately, and I believe that fakes out Gen G to thinking there was only one at Baby Door. He sees the barrel, and he goes for it, but behind that was Monyet detained, unable to do anything, and they just don't expect the second swing out. I mean, it all works. He's laughing because he knows it shouldn't have worked that way. But it does. Sometimes fate is funny. And it favors Monyet today.
Is fate truly setting this up for RQ right now? We shall see how the next round plays out. Paint Shell's already through Haunt as well. Jemkin kind of thwarted by that Haunt. Now in for it. It's Karen with the double kill. Estrella quickly strikes back outside a tree, but now thinks about Karen, who might just be around the site. Viper's Pit goes up, and Estrella tries to stay in.
All right, he just wants to keep one side open, but with Xfero getting caught. I love that Karen gets ahead of it too, right? They see the pit and you're like, okay, you're trying to buy time. Doesn't look like it should be 2 of you on the site then. And he's looking for that second one. Estrella now all alone. Credits, of course, flowing for RRQ. But Yeoman, 1 away from the Nightfall. He's gonna want this kill if he has a chance.
Viper's Pit was a pretty good ult as well, but now, you know, just kind of walking through, maybe trying to find something or work around the exits and save.
I mean, I think if you don't find anyone soon, even though your creds are fine, they can still buy up as well. So I don't know if there's really any point in potentially giving away this Nightfall. Yeoman's closing in. Yeah, and Estrella starts to back away. The call has been made to go for that save. Not give away another power ultimate. Because right now, RQ at 7, given how things started, they would like more in this first half.
For sure. So still, pretty darn good round for Gen G, being able to fight for that rebel control now.
And I love what Karen does here. And the entirety of Gen G, they know that there's always trades ready for that Rumble fight. So they wait for the initial trade, and he just said it right there. See, I told you I'd get the timing, and he's able to jump behind and get the further trade on Cushy, just proving that it was always going to be much more a fight of positions rather than simple reactions.
Hence why now they're looking to kind of repeat those same successes as RQ try something a little bit different. Okay, still is Jemkin alongside Monyet. Gonna work around the Viper walls. Delayed Paranoia though against the Showstopper, and Monyet shuts down Texture. Jemkin's Showstopper will get flooded through, but it doesn't quite connect enough. So Munchkin and alongside Foxy9 will be able to swing out off of the explosion. And all that's left is Monyet alongside Xfero.
Yeah, a bit of a mishap with that showstopper going too deep, but because of all that chaos, they just completely lost track of Foxy9, who was able to creep right behind Rubble. Now, down to a 3v4, still doable in terms of numbers, but GenG, they'll wait, and then they have their pickings. They could still go for a late push onto that C site. They can still group onto A. They wonder, whenever you give them a chance, RRQ, they've always overextended and overheated. They'll wait for that chance, and they start to move at the 40-second mark.
Slowly moving. You do have Estrella right around the door, though, so if he does hear something and times it just right, might be able to clip someone on the way back.
This should be a sheer wall, and then Razorvine activated, and Estrella might open the door
risky.
for a spray down, because at 20 seconds, they all have to try to jump over. They're actually just going to use the Razorvine, so they can't actually speed through it. It's going to buy so much time.
Estrella?
Only one gets through.
And not the spike.
The spike's not through.
Throw it over, throw it over. There it is.
Tossed over, should get planted. Monyet trying to spray down, doesn't find the hit. Estrella will draw out a lot of attention, finds one target, he gets taken down, and that is the retake opportunity denied by GenG.
Oh, it came dicey, but GenG just brings it across the finishing line just in time. Had the setup for the back of that play as well.
Yeah, great timing with the Razorvine, but now Cred's starting to get a bit iffy as we get prepped for that last round. So Xfero, I mean, you can buy for each other, but the chances just aren't there. Yeoman still doesn't have that Nightfall, so you just say, you know what, we won't greed for this. Xfero will back out all the way to the other corner of the map. Going up to 4 rounds for GenG. If they can make it 5-7, I think if you're a GenG fan, you have full faith on their defensive setups on this map.
Pretty much. Oh, Yeoman.
Yeoman wants it. He wants that Nightfall.
Okay, we're good.
Wanted that ult, but he won't get it. Obviously, you have your pick of ult orbs from that attacking side.
Still, though, as you go into the last round of the first half, I mean, right now, just thinking about that same A setup, because GenG has been able to break that apart from RRQ. Cushy dies really early on because of that.
I was wondering if there would be a hard push out of C from RRQ, given that their trading and their positions has been read so hard on Rubble. But this time they go even harder in. It's a 4-man push out, trying to push them into C site, where they have double Razorvines and the Arc Rose ready to go. Paint Shells should clear out all of it. They're well tripped. Texture all alone, he gets shut down. That's a bit of a full send on the fake. And now everyone traps. Paranoia comes out.
Nice.
He's been caught. Munchkin spike dropped behind Rubble. Monyet holding strong.
Goes out for another peek, though. Oh, and he's working against 2 players on either side, so unfortunately he falls. And that's a spike retrieve. Look at Karen, already deep into A.
Omennya udah di-set ya.
He has to just hold, because they know the first shadow was used. You have to wait. There's the Nightfall. Estrella will just stand outside of it. Now the one-way draw, but that buys time for Xfero to group up safely. Now a 2-1 split between the RRQ members. Meanwhile, GenG, it's going to be a hold on drop and one safely from tree.
All right, buy some of that attention away, allow for Estrella to get a little bit closer in and find some possible sight lines, but look at how Karen's just continuing to try to hold that off. Paranoia sent through, Prowler from tree as well. Now their own Prowler spots out at least one player, so trying to sneak on through to get that pinch. Unfortunately, Estrella's already gunned down. Foxy9 ready to receive. The Fox in the henhouse strikes again.
Again, these are the fights that Foxy9 loves. Full faith in his teammates. And I'm looking over, we have Dwenmo, who is a streamer under the GenG banner. Of course, recently just playing on Team IM as well before they had to disband, but he's cheering right now. He's so happy to see Foxy9 really find his stride in this new team. Coming over from TRX. And even then, perhaps not really being given the chance that a lot of people hope to see. And now he says, all right, bring the fight to me. Set me up, I'll be able to collect.
So beautiful with how he does it as well. I mean, like, tiny little movements. First of all, perfect crosshair placement, and then slicing the pie ever so slightly outwards as opponents kind of swing into him, thinking that he's holding passively with that strict angle. So just being able to end that first half 7-5, not too bad for GenG. You can definitely bet that their defense will pick things up as well, especially with the entire double controller setup that they have. RQ though, I mean, how do you work against that? You've been playing against it for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, we started to see teams at internationals, namely by the name of Sentinels, break down GenG's defensive setups, right? And especially when it's the Killjoy. Now we've seen all the different combinations alongside the Poison Cloud and the Toxic Screen. So you still have a raise. You're still able to delete all of this. You don't have to take as many risks as if it was a sheer wall with that Vice. So RRQ should have some ideas, but the real question is what's the timing there? And also, do you want to invest the paint shells? Because you don't want to do it every time, because then you can't fight Rubble. So it's going to be a very careful choice of macro, and right now it's going to be Rubble for the Pistolless GenG. They're going to go for a classic push out of Mount.
Okay, that would give them a lot of information too, but we'll see how RRQ responds quickly enough or not. Foxy9 is already prepared for that A hit.
Yeah, I mean, RRQ, not wise to it just yet.
Oh, that's interesting.
They don't have anyone watching.
Foxy9 door tapped and instantly went back into A, so just does buy a bit more time for RRQ, thinking that there could be a player up around the other sides.
Lots of time bought. It's also double sheriffs for Karen and Foxy9. Paranoia at the ready, but they decide, okay, we're already through.
Okay.
We're not going to have to use it. So Paranoia still saved up in that post plant. Good patience from RRQ, but look at GenG, still 3 members flanking around. I mean, you might expect 1 or 2, but Estrella, does he expect this many?
Well, it's all up to him. Oh, he doesn't see them by the
checked.
jump.
He hasn't been checked. They still suspect it. It's too late. He catches sight of 2 crossing over. 1 now tapping the door.
Going out through Xfero. There's the Paranoia as well. But, oh, just a little bit too far exposed up towards the stairs area. And that's where GenG strikes. Karen Texture able to get 1 for their own. Jemkin kind of fighting back a little bit, but just not quite enough off of the Poison Cloud as well. GenG picks up the round and now looking to equalize the score.
Yeah, that should bring them up to 7 in theory. It's a good wraparound and just noticed a bit too late. And then the util, really well placed by GenG. RRQ always on the back foot with some of their answers. Clean shots, Paranoias pushing them away, back and forth, and Cushy not able to, I mean, the angles just weren't really perfectly placed for RRQ here when they had a little bit of time to hold on. Oh, that's what I was hearing. I was wondering who was cheering, but what is going on? Karon.
Let's go.
You know, he's no longer the youngest on the team. He starts to roar, really show his true colors here on GenG. Roaring like a tiger indeed.
Heck yeah, that just got me fired up.
See if that energy continues here in the anti-eco. 5-man buy. 4 rifles, 1 Spectre. Karon not able to land the shot just yet, but he'll play it safe. He has support from Blue Room.
Still
RRQ mau nyerang ke C, guys.
So being able to control a lot of it as well on the other side of
dapat monyet, Cuk.
That's going to be the Spectre to take down at least 1 player with a lucky spam.
Ini pam tembak aja.
It seemed like an overly aggressive jump peek. Obviously, still can be used against things like the Killjoy, try to spot whoever. And I like that you do it at least on the eco, right? Try to get information on what the setup is. That's fine, but obviously not completely necessary just yet, given that it's not a Vice. Either way, he gets taken down. GenG, no reason to shift. Texture will, in fact, push towards Rubble, and this should be a pretty safe hold with the default.
And down to the minute mark, just spotting
masuk.
out now. Still, though,
Ini susah nih guys ya kalau di
bypass a little bit of it with the blast pack, but then the toxic screen comes up, so if they do walk through it a little bit lower as well, while Yeoman holds off with the side.
Masalahnya spotnya kebuka semua, Cuk.
But Karen able to find that slight sliver on towards Cushy. Texture swings out now, and that's the triple kill to end the round in a flawless fashion for GenG.
Texture's only 1 away from the showstopper. That's the real big deal right now for GenG. Yes, it's a flawless, that matters a lot. You're able to carry over all your weapons, that's huge. But 1 away from the showstopper, that could be what really helps you turn the bonus around for yourselves.
Such a big power ultimate, for sure. So that's definitely one thing to keep your eyes on the books for the next round.
Namaste.
Happy Texture is a happy GenG.
Now let's see if he's able to collect that last point. They are going to push towards Smoke and then the C's as well. It's perfect. Monyet lands right on top of it. And that is the showstopper. That's the kill on the controller. Showstopper online. GenG already looking so happy. You've got that defensive setup once again on the C site.
Look at Texture's positioning as well. I mean, such a good spot to be in if he starts to hear more footsteps. Prowler to check tree, and no one's really found, so this calls to Karen to get ready for a potential turnaround. And in for Texture as well, the Boombot, just to check.
Paranoia as well. This is a setup.
Okay.
The moment they hear any sort of util, or maybe even this door being broken, does the showstopper come out? It's perfect! Only gets one kill, but Karen collects the other. And it's just an absolute trap play. RRQ nowhere to go on their buy round. And I gotta imagine a timeout coming out here because we've seen this time and time again. You don't hit that C site early enough from Gen G. You don't force them to switch up that defensive default, and then they just start to run away in the second half.
It's just full on wreckage from Gen G with Texture performing like this.
30 seconds left.
So you definitely need some kind of a timeout to find some solution, but at least for now, with a bit of a slight save, Estrella will be able to find Texture down.
Yeah, you have to save these rifles. Because now you're going to be straggling behind. 7 to 8, 1 round, but of course the econ not in your favor.
10 seconds
so
left.
You got to imagine, we got to accept the 7-9 2-round differential. How do we climb back from there? Estrella, they're coming for him.
Okay.
Nice little hide.
Just out from the reaches of that hunt, but still, still thinking about it. Definitely need to find a solution to that early pressure that's always being repeatedly thrown in, or to find a way to deal with that C setup that Gen G has.
RRQ harus time out ini guys.
Getting caught off guard a little bit on that kill from Estrella, but there's that timeout. And listen, fighting for Rubble, always the highlight of Lotus, sure, but you have to be able to push and pull. You have to tell Gen G that you are going to work the entire map, because otherwise they'll just wait, they'll counter you at Rubble, and then they'll keep you trapped. There's just no pressure on the other side of the map.
So you need to assert yourself somehow. But with that early paint shells and possible movement play in towards Rubble, it's certainly not the easiest thing.
So I can imagine two things, but I feel that this next round, you still try to go for a variation on the Rubble fight. See if Gen G still goes for the C's combo with the paint shells and see what you can work out, because either way, it's going to be a haphazard fight. It depends if they're forcing up or not, but you do have 2 rifles, so that's another decision they'll have to make. But maybe the next round, you start to work out that C site, because going right away for some hard pressure onto C would be disastrous after a timeout. So indeed, it is going to be just a rematch over by the A side, and they're buying up.
All light shields.
You got to get ahead. The blast packs have to put Jemkin ahead of Rubble, but look at the pings. They're already pinging for it.
Okay. Oh, it's the Arc Rose and the TP, but Gen G actually holds on to their utility for now.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Monyet far forward as well. So both sides kind of having the read on each other, right? They recognize, okay, you're not going to do the full util dump. We aren't either.
Yeah, hold on to it for now. Trading Prowlers. Nothing spotted too far off. Well, Xpharaoh slowly starts to begin his creep up on the lurk.
Yeah, this could be a pinch onto B, but Gen G trying to get ahead of it, and Texture goes out, gets Jemkin, and Monyet right into the crosshairs of Texture. It's going to be a 3K. Does he go for the classic 4K? He's on for it. I mean, no reason to move from C site. They'll just delay.
We would joke about it, right, with his kill streaks and whatnot, but I mean, this is a big advantage for Gen G. Paint shells refresh and everything. You know, it's another round that just as soon as it starts off, it's 2 players only left on RQ again.
Yeah, you have to save again, right? Because you forced up.
Ay.
Otherwise, the economy really starts to crumble. And Texture, yeah, he smells it. It's in the making.
He's got the nades.
We all know how this ends. We all know exactly how this ends. Oh, yo, man, don't spoil us just yet. Let Texture have the suspense.
We can't skip to the last page of the book.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll give him a chance. All right, Texture, he's right nearby.
10 seconds
Can
left.
he get
Throw
the
it.
ever elusive ace?
Come on, Texture.
Texture gets 4. Can he get it? Xpharaoh does it. Some things never change.
Oh, Texture, you will continue to live down that curve.
I mean, this was all set up for him, too.
Oh, HP. You got wall banged at the last
Mau ke map
second.
3 kah, brother?
God.
I mean, Texture, this is your destiny, man. Listen, I suggest that he now just tries to go for world's most 4Ks.
어떡해!
How in the world? Why always does this happen? Oh, man. Well, you feel for him. So, yeah, now there's the pressure onto that C site, something they haven't done yet. But Gen G, I mean, listen, you've got a world-class IHL. You're not going to fall for this. You know that the timeout, okay, they go for a variation on Rubble. You're still waiting. The late setup, once they hear that noise, coming out onto that C site.
And Texture is 2 points away from his ult, so that's another thing. But right now, great IGL. Just continuing to hold on the other side.
Look at the setup
Itu
for
kayak udah
Fox9
berair
as
itu.
well. Munchkin kind of drawing their attention all the way to the back of elbow.
Faktanya guys.
But it was Foxy9 holding close. Now, the firepower not quite there for RRQ. A nice attempt at a swing out from Estrella, but he won't quite find the kill for a gun upgrade.
Prowler check pillars as well, so enough information for Gen G to kind of back up and reinforce both extremities of the map.
But the important thing here is that RQ is trying to use the entire map. They are trying to force Gen G to lack information. The bigger problem being that you just haven't tripped any of Killjoy's util. So there's really no reason to switch up the positions. You can still stack A, you still have the turret on B, just to check for information.
That's really risky. So at least trying to buy a bit of presence back into A, but then the quick rotation into B, so maybe finding an open site through this, but they still lose a couple players in the process. A bit of a trade one-on-one. Texture.
Whoa. Sure, he finds one. And he gets the second. He does. Site empty so far. He's going to push them out. He jumps right into the hands of Jemkin. That's a rifle. Oh, it's a little far out. Drops behind him. DPU's already going through. All the way back. It's one
nice.
distance up for Estrella. There's a gun upgrade. 1v1.
Tuh, bisa yuk.
Versus Jemkin, but time on Jemkin's side. Health on Foxy9. He baits him in. Jemkin jiggles back and forth once more. And Foxy9 holds his ground. He will not lose a duel today.
Ente
So
Jemkin.
ready to receive and hold. Time and time again, he just makes it happen. Cannot lose it whenever he's holding the angle. This time around was a bit of elevation that saved his life, but still being able to be so cool and calm and taking that burst down against Jemkin.
You have to imagine how he even started as a duelist. I mean, he's just fit for a Sentinel. Let them come to me, I win those duels no matter what. I mean, less pressure. He looks so much calmer when he's in these duels when they have to re-peek him.
Oh, look at him.
That's just saying, yeah, you just have to win for us. Yeah, there you go. Bring us around.
Well, 10-7 is looking a lot better, but it is a buy-up now for RRQ. Texture does have the showstopper at hand as well, and look at him right outside of C.
Yeah, that showstopper again. It's another trap play. No Killjoy setup this time. The moment they hear util, it's going to be Munchkin, Snakebite spraying through the smoke. Showstopper comes out.
Karen and Yeoman right around the door as well.
Oh,
just
the
check
full trap play. Jemkin gets one, but the showstopper pushes everybody back. RRQ frantically trying to rotate to the other side. Gen G, they're closing in. Texture's on the hunt. Bonyet brought down very low because she already has control of Rubble. But now the Nano Swarms, the Killjoy setup. Why is it on A site? RRQ, they can't look for the answers. They have to push through.
They have to. I mean, it's a good mid-round call trying to make it happen, but working against Foxy9, who is holding again. The second kill now out, and on towards the top. It's Munchkin as well, but Foxy9 manages to do it all by himself. Not the last one, though, Xfero. Able to strike back, goes for the desperate plant to maybe get onto the steel guard, but not quite enough as Gen G already have the site surrounded.
Well, if last year's Gen G with Meteor was all about pushing out for the right timings by Meteor, this time it's all about letting them come to Foxy9 because they are just not able to break through this guy when he's waiting on the site.
None whatsoever. Everything set up outside of C. Perfect util with the reads and the showstopper and the kills from Texture as well, just to funnel them in towards Foxy9.
I mean, waiting out the paranoia, just understanding that he has space at the back of sight. Confidence coming back up as well, starting to look a bit more relaxed. There's that second time out from RRQ, not wanting to let it get to map point. The nightmares of the past starting to loom over them. Been here so many times before.
Without a doubt, especially on this side. Not quite able to really find an answer or solution against Gen G's defenses, but still a little bit of credit. I mean, being able to bring this score across so far. not too bad on the attacking side. I mean, on the defensive side for RRQ. So they can not feel too bad right now.
No, we got some Foxy 9 fans. That's his full Korean name.
Oh.
Jae-sung Jung, or Jung Jae-sung in Korean. So a lot of the, because especially in their comms, they're all calling first names. A lot of the fans just call Foxy 9 by his name, Jae-sungi, Jae-sungi. That's what they'll call him affectionately. And right now, he's starting to deliver. 15 and 11. Texture, meanwhile, 19 and 12. Lockdown available for Foxy 9. RRQ, they've got a couple outs as well. Nightfall and Steel Garden, but haven't really found an opportunity to use them just yet. Half armors across the board.
Well, now's as good a time as any.
All right, just creeping forward. It's going to be an all-in. Just break the Killjoy util, push him back, and take that space. There are the Nano Swarms, so Demkin going to be all alone, but Magnet follows through with the Shrouded Step. Demkin spots him. The trade's not quite there, a double peek. But after all these previous rounds, I don't know if you keep pushing him. Foxy 9 still holding strong in the back of sight.
Yeah, respecting him. He's got that lockdown as well, but now peeks out. A couple of kills already going through in favor of Genji, and there is that lockdown. Despite the Steel Garden used by Xfero, no opportunity found. Texture will take the advantage out, and now getting a little bit more space for his team.
Spike has been retrieved, but they're stuck on the site. They notice that Estrella's there. Xfero trying to hold close. He can't get the first kill. Estrella all alone against the world, and Munchkin will wrap things up, bringing Genji to map point.
Match point.
Genji.
There it is.
Kalah nih.
Spent, but still to no avail, not quite. A couple more on the side of RRQ, but 12 and 7.
I mean, this was just good backing up as well, waiting for that lockdown, and then Texture coming in for the save since he wasn't as affected by the Steel Garden. And this round is important for Genji because even future teams watching it will notice that it wasn't the Poison Orb setup that was delaying them. It was just Foxy 9 trying to delay, and then you had the C's ready from Yeoman. So they've got some variations on how to stop the spike from getting planted immediately, and they trust in Foxy 9 to re-peek for that kill.
Bring them down.
Being able to find that minute little timing. But off to the next round, once again, another attempt at the C hit. Straight in, it's going to be Jemkin towards the back of the site. Prowler to check and clear, nothing's found. So maybe another round where they do get that spike, but how do they hold and deal with it? That's the question. The Viper's Pit does come up. So maybe, just maybe, the solution for RRQ.
Well, they gotta hold on to this pit, but I would love to see a couple more members maybe towards the back of sight, because right now, if they barrel through and you start to lose a Viper, it's a little dangerous. They're trying to make sure other people get first contact. Munchkin closing in with the Shorty. He's trying to chase through. They know one person is close. There's the Prowler. They're still hiding away Estrella. He gets one. Goes for the reposition right outside. Magnet caught out. Estrella safe outside of the pit. Can he refresh it? He gets another kill. Gets back into the pit. They continue to keep it up. And now it's just Munchkin left. And that's going to be Cushy cleaning things up. Now up to 8, but still 4 more rounds to push through.
Yeah, 4 rounds, 4 chances for Genji to get across that finishing line, but still for RRQ, I mean, not too bad of a round. I mean, Viper's Pit up to keep that spike in play. And truly, you know, even though they didn't have anyone towards the back of sight, it was just Cushy to continue to jiggle, hold, and check if there is anyone pushing out of spawn. Because there wasn't anyone truly coming out for that area, everyone just kind of hunkered down to protect Estrella, come in with those sprays and spams. And it kind of just connected into some of the Genji players as they try to make their way through. So, next round coming up now, and we're back into A. This has been the problem.
Yeah, a successful hit onto C and now trying to push onto A, but RRQ, they have to realize they have to go fast because they've given up on all information. You just have the sheer wall to get information on a flank. It's an all-in. Can you battle through? You know Yeoman's here. What's the double peek here? There's the C's, but he's way beyond it. He only gets one. Cushy for the trade. Paranoia will keep them at bay. Texture waiting on site. Finds Magnet. It's a duel, and Magnet wins out over Texture. Spike will get planted.
Wonder if there's a little arc rose there, but it does help out nonetheless, and because of that, the spike in their favor. We have the smoke on towards heaven as well, just trying to look and suss out for Karen. River running a little bit dry for Genji. They will still be able to fight for now, so continuing to kind of keep that pressure on. 2 players from the back looking to push up, but Estrella spots them out. tries to tuck behind for a bit of an off angle now, but Snakebite will flush him out. The door peek as well, though, for Foxy9, takes down Xpharaoh, and that's a little bit more space. Estrella takes down Munchkin, so looking a little bit better for RRQ now, but Karen doubles back. Foxy9 sticks onto the spike, and Monyet has the swing, goes in for the spray transfer, but not quite connecting, and Foxy9!
What a clutch with another 3K on the site!
Win.
The new pickup of Genji. So many people doubted him. So many people said, how? How could you lose out on Meteor? But he says, I have my spot. I've earned my seat here at the table of Genji.
So unbelievable with how he's able to create these moments again and again. Whether he's holding down a site or retaking at times even, Foxy9 does it all.
Tops the board in this map. 20 kills alongside Texture, combined 40 for the team. And Foxy9, I mean, we've been waiting for a performance like this from this guy. We knew he was mechanically capable, but could he make it happen in a team setting? And Genji, they figured it out. They set Foxy9 up for it. They're constantly pushing people into Foxy9, pushing them into his setups where he is comfy, waiting for those duels.
For RQ, trying to really crawl and claw their way back up, but not quite able to find too much. I mean, they did a little bit better on their defensive half, but down to it all, just not quite able to deal with that A rubble. And at the same time, I mean, trying to finally being able to break on through. They had some successful rounds on towards C, on towards A, but down to it all again when you're playing against a team that's looking this online, looking a little bit more confident now on their, home mat pretty much. It's tough.
Wow, and now going over to Haven. We wonder what's the map or what's the Asian pick's going to be, but also very comfy map for both of these teams. Truly going to bring out the best in both, I would hope, but that's going to be it for the highlights. We're going to toss it over to their desk before we move on to map number 3.
VCT PACIFIC.
As if Genji was just gonna roll over and die. There is no way our first Masters winning team was gonna do that against RRQ. And there was a moment though, for about half a game where we thought, oh my god, we're gonna see our first 2-0 by RRQ against Genji, no less. But Genji figured it all out on the second half. You guys let's talk about that first half though. I mean, RRQ,
yeah, solid. They got ahead. They got a lot of momentum. I thought like they had really great ideas with Device, especially getting ahead on your defense side on Lotus. It's not super normal. We would typically favor attack on this, but especially when we swapped onto that second half, Genji's defense was just absolutely insane as well. Like you can't talk about one without the other. This is a map Genji absolutely love, and we can see why. Even when they're behind on that first half, they managed to bring it back, flip the script, and of course take us to map 3.
I mean, it's a difference of a centi, but really you're playing a mirror matchup against one of the best cores playing this map with this comp. There was no real doubt in my mind that they were going to be able to turn things around when they got it rolling. And Foxy9 being the MVP there is kind of the cherry on top. He had so many defining moments in that game. Won 2 or 3 clutches. He did some great site anchoring as well on defense, which is where Genji got the majority of their work done. So fantastic performance from him. And for RRQ, a great hot start, but that's where you're starting to go back into that same storyline of like, man, they played so good today, but couldn't quite get the dub. I mean, there's still another map in it, and it's a safe map for both teams, so it's far from done just yet, but that is going to be huge for Genji to turn this series around.
Absolutely. Well, Foxy9 now, you guys were, it's undeniable, especially in that second half, how many rounds, especially on A, that he just basically clutched it, cleared it out, anchored it so well. And as the boys were saying on the casting desk earlier, question marking him. Even when he was on DRX, there are a lot of question marks like, is he good? Oh my god. And then we see him on the Sentinel, and honestly, I know he's a good duelist, but every time I see him on the Killjoy, there are these kind of moments we see from him.
Yeah, 100%. I think a defining part of this game, though, was definitely the A fight, and I felt like Genji, they did a great job, particularly on the defense. Here's an A fight that they won where you see RRQ through everything at A and just the great reactive utility. That's always what I look at when you have a mirror comp between two teams, is how well do they play the comp, how well do they use the util. At the same time, though, early on in this game, even RRQ was winning some of these fights. They absolutely slapped Genji on this round when they played the A control fight, and you could see them really vibing early on in this game.
Yeah, this A fight is the most important macro part of this map because it opens up that fast rotation route for you on both halves. But I don't think there's a team in the world better that dominate A like Gen.G do. I feel like they have so many great ideas, so many mix-ups. That last one on the bonus round where he's able to get the showstopper out to really just cement it, really keeps them rolling. This is what they do. They do it so well.
A seasonate as well. I mean, you know, 2 new pickups, but the same coaching stuff. The playbook is still there, Vic. It's not like they're going to forget how to play Lotus all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's right. All they do is like, look, we have all the answers. Learn this. We're going to drill this until you get it. And it looks like they did. And I think before we talk about Haven, because we definitely have to talk about Haven, how are you guys feeling about your teams?
I mean, I was feeling like I was a bit worried about the Senti pick. You got Xfero. He started out really hot out of the gate. I kind of wish I picked Foxy9 now. Like, the thing is, right, we were talking about that point previously where, you know, people are question marking him. I think on the Senti role, he's always had really, really good mechanics. It's just about putting him in the right position. So if he's positionally sound and he works on his, you know, game sense and just being in the right position at the right time, which this coaching staff can teach him how to do that. I mean, they've watched Meteor do it for a year. You know, these guys have a lot of experience. If they can get him to perform on that Sentinel role, just put him in the right position, you know, I've heard so many like very experienced TAC FPS players and captains even before Valorant came out say, I like to put my sharpest player in the anchor position as a turret. You know, if you can use Foxy9 as a turret, then that could be a recipe for success for sure.
And that's exactly what they ended up doing. Now, Haven is going to be the last map, I believe. Now, they have played Haven last year. At the end of Stage 2, it was playoffs. Gen.G, this is the playoffs game where RRQ didn't win against Gen.G on Haven. We've seen both of these teams showcase their Haven a bit in the offseason, but again, it's so hard. You guys have been talking about this at the desk last week as well, like how much do you weigh in with the offseason sort of results? I'm actually looking more in the Haven last year because, again, the core of the rosters, both of these rosters were already there. So how much are they going to be fine-tuning for this?
I think for me, like, I do put some stock in the off-season results for this matchup just because both of them have played such close games on Haven or looked like quite promising on Haven. The interesting thing for me about this matchup as well is that the agent comps are somewhat similar in the core of it, but just, you know, the Sentinel, you do have the Sentinel difference, obviously. The Cypher and the Killjoy, that is a defining part of it, but just the difference of a Breach versus a Viper in that comp, even if everything else was the same, changes the comp and how it plays completely. It's completely transformative. It's 2 completely different styles, even if it's only 1 agent different.
Yeah, the Viper is so key to how Gen.G played this map. They've been running it for a very, very long time and had a lot of success with it. So I'm really curious to see if they keep with it, because it's very much in their style. It's very much in their wheelhouse.
I don't think I've seen anyone else play that. Like,
not to the same level, I would
since
say.
like Loud and some of those guys were playing like Sky Viper, and then it was popular in NA, and you had some of the other NA teams running it as well. But in current era, Valorant, who else is running Viper on this map?
But I think this is a big testament to how Gen.G like to kind of structure their ideas for composition. We saw in the last map, they know what works for them and they stuck with it. So I'm expecting to see this very similar comp come out. Maybe not the Neon, I'm not sure. I think they might revert away from that a little bit now. But the core ideas will be exactly the same if they're running that Viper. So that's what I hope they go with. And I think RRQ will be expecting this. So I want to see what answers they have for this Viper. I think, especially if that's what gets played, that will be the key to this matchup.
One other key to this matchup, and we were discussing this earlier, that Gen.G is not easily thwarted. Their mental isn't easily broken. But when I get really worried for the opponents of Gen.G is when you see Texture doing the war cry. When he starts screaming and laughing and like beating his chest or rubbing his belly, you know, things are going to be a little bit different. And not only that, we saw Karen do a war cry. We're talking about... Yeah, it was insane. He did it before Texture, and I think that helped kind of remind the team what they were made of. And we were talking about this in the green room. Karen isn't the rookie anymore. Yeah. He is now a very established, extremely experienced player now after 2024.
Inside of the server, it's so important for the core of the team to lead the way in terms of the vibes, in terms of the energy, especially for the newer players that might not have as much experience. And you could even hear it in the comms when Foxy9 was clutching. The other boys were G'ing him up. They were like, I have no idea what they were saying. You know, my Korean level is still 0, despite being here for like a week. I did no study, but I could tell from the tone of it they were really G'ing him up.
Good job, Foxy9.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the translation. Appreciate that.
You have to have fun in the server.
Yeah.
You know, these are big, important matches, right? They matter a lot to these people, but if you only think about the pressure that it puts on you, it's easy to get weighed down on it. At the end of the day, you're still playing a video game. It's fun, you know?
Yeah.
That's why we're all here. So being able to scream, have those fun, like the moments where Texia gets the 4K and he's mad about it, it's like, it's such nice little moments that will just keep the spirit going, keep the vibes up, like you say. And especially when you're trying to mount that comeback, it's massive.
Well, we're going to go on a very short break, and when we come back, we are going to see the results of the Genji RRQ matchup. So don't go away.
Let's fly.
It's day 4 of the VCT PACIFIC 2025 kickoff. Stay tuned for some epic games.
I've been dreaming, but now it's coming true. At the top of the world, enjoy the view. Been jumping, dancing, you feel it too. Favorite jamming machine, brand sticking new. That's it. Too much fun. There's no such thing. No such thing as too much fun. We just begun. So much fun. Beat you to the punch, catch it on the run. Yeah, so much fun.
VCT PACIFIC. The future of Valorant starts here.
High flying fantasy, make it real. Tripping on that cartoon banana peel. Swooping up just to grab it, turn the wheel. Flipping out, gotta have it, it's a deal. Too much fun. There's no such thing. No such thing as too much fun. We just begun. So much fun. Beat you to the punch, catch it on the run. So much fun. We've just begun. So much fun. Banging on the drum, put me in the front. Yeah, so much fun. Feeling so ready. Feeling so ready. So ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Too much fun. There's no such thing. Too much fun. There's no such thing. Too much fun. There's no such thing. No such thing as too much fun. We just begun. So much fun. Beat you to the punch, catch it on the run. So much fun. We just begun. So much fun. Banging on the drum, put me in the front. Yeah, so much fun.
Welcome back to VCT PACIFIC Kickoff. We are on the very last map of today. If you guys missed all the action that's been happening so far, it's Genji RRQ, where we thought there was a moment where RRQ would have a 2-0, but as you guys know, Gen.G will absolutely not roll over on a 2-0 in their debut match back in Pacific after their amazing run last year. Now, they had a really good momentum going into this last map of Haven. We're just discussing it just now, and how much power it gives them when Texture is feeling great. He got a 4K with an ace denied again.
Yep.
I mean, what is Gen.G without denying him his ace, especially when they're playing against Monyet. They lost the last time they faced off against each other in VCT Pacific. It was an elimination match for playoffs, so I think this is actually one of the revenge maps for RRQ to win against Gen.G. It is crazy in here right now. There's like, it's like a party in here. I don't know if it's feeding into our mic.
Yeah, the vibes are immaculate,
watching.
you know?
Yeah, it's like pretty groovy.
We're trying to keep things serious, you know, build up like a, you know, a storyline of, you know, two teams being, you know, having this bitter rivalry and all that kind of stuff, and the vibes are just not matching right now. But I can always get down, you know, big time. I've seen you on the dance floor. You've got some moves, so maybe not on broadcast, but
we
yeah,
want him to keep
later.
his job.
Yeah.
Or maybe not get promoted over. I don't know. I haven't seen him dance. Is it like?
It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
Oh, it's incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah. He was a theater kid, so yeah.
I think it's so easy for this Korean audience to be throwing a bit of a party now. They've just had this map 2 win. I mean, everybody's feeling good down there now. They're all excited for map 3.
And now it's up to RRQ to shut them up again, to have another hot start, but actually follow through this time. They've had some very good games of Haven lately. The DFM match was fantastic to watch. Kushi's going to be back on the Sova as well. Every game he's on the Sova, man, is just bopping everyone in the head. You know, the crispiest name you've ever seen. Darts on point, so I think that in combination with some of the off-season games you've seen from the boys on RRQ, even pushing Paper X and being very consistent in terms of beating DFM, they should be quite confident on Haven as a decider, and Gen.G as well. I think every Gen.G game so far has been 24 minimum rounds, and as you can see from the compositions here, both teams are going to back themselves. RRQ's going back to the Killjoy though instead of the Cypher, and Texture's going to stick with the Neon.
Yeah, I think that we spoke about this a little bit before this game, but the Viper on Munchkin really is the key for Gen.G's composition.
I mean, the Breach versus the Viper is just completely different comps, even if the other 4 agents are pretty much the same bar duelists.
So with them starting on defense, expect this Viper in the middle of the map, rotating fast and trying to stop those initial hits. That's the most important thing.
Well, the background music is so matching the vibes right now. It's getting a lot more intense for the last and final match of today, RRQ versus Gen.G. We're going to go back to our casters, Chopra and Quack, to take it away on Haven.
Map number 3. It seems to always come down to this between these two teams, and it usually always goes one way in favor of Gen.G. Will history repeat itself for the 6th time today as Gen.G continues to stomp down against RRQ, or will this be a new beginning for the Indonesian squad?
New beginnings. I mean, definitely a lot of hope going for RRQ right now, but at least in this Korean stadium, a lot more support for the Gen.G side, but starting things off already. Quick contact, and Jemkin, alongside his teammates, will be able to take down Texture and back up into A long.
Yeah, no damage taken either, but Yeoman just holding a bit of an angle, waiting for a far peek out, but it looks like it's just going to be a setup and an immediate jiggle. Is he ready for more? There's util in hand. There's the flash coming out. The flash point. Toxic screen just to keep them at bay. Yeoman decided to drop back out. He does a lot of damage with that shock dart against Jemkin, trying to utilize the decay that might have been left over. But Jemkin will survive with 56 HP.
Yeah, surely you can't quite just continue to stay in that spot. Backing off now. And RRQ continuing to try to hold, especially from short. Might give them a little bit more value, finding Foxy9. But that's the only person that they spotted, so maybe kind of working around that toxic screen now gives Munchkin a bit of an opportunity, but since he's the only one, getting gunned down by Monyet.
Yeah, and that's the Viper down, so the toxic screen not working out in your favor. You know he's weak, so the turret working out for Xfero. Estrella, also another cleanup against Yeoman. It's just going to be Charon all alone. Now comes the hunt. Okay, he still gets one, but Cushy with yet another kill. The Desk talked about it. Cushy has been looking the sharpest for the squad, even as the new addition. He puts up another one for himself, putting 2 ult orbs after that plant.
Really, really comfortable. I mean, sharp with how he plays, but at the same time for the whole team to really just pile drive their way through into this A site. I mean, they've kind of read that Gen.G often plays this way you know, like what Big Time was saying as well back on the desk, that Munchkin will be this Viper playing along that toxic tree and rotating back and forth around from the B site. But now, off of that little bit of a loss, the 4-stack onto C.
Oh, well, it's a 3-stack here as well from RRQ, and Jemkin's clean with the first shot, giving them the opportunity. Okay, Foxy9 still left over, not gonna get stunned. He gets 2 kills. Is this another repeat? Okay, Estrella, woo! Avoiding danger right there, still keeping that full health, but it's already weapons dropped. Xfero has to come back, has to be in position to pick it up at the end of the round. Yeoman all alone, any more damage against RRQ, and that would be a moderate success.
Yeah, still having that Spectre, being able to do that against Foxy9, but down to the last one, Yeoman. Don't imagine he should be able to do too much as he tries to look for the weapon, but down onto it. Xfero marking with the Sheriff. So picks up the round. A little bit lost for RQ, but still not too bad as they kind of bring forward that 2-0.
And just a nice peek out here from Jemkin, ready for that pre-fire as well. And Foxy9 continuing to prove that if they're coming into my site, I will be good for a couple extra kills, showcasing that new Genji classic. But Xfero picking one up for himself as well. And now Toxic Screen still set up on that default position. It hasn't really been giving Genji too much value just yet, and RQ just chooses to ignore it. They're going for that C site once again.
Same triple peek. But this time, what they see is a poison orb, so gonna have to kind of show back off, find something else.
So putting pressure on that, it looks like it's just going to be a step-by-step clear as their default, right? Putting some pressure on C main, putting some pressure over by Garage, clearing out any util over in B. Eventually that opens them up to maybe go for a B hit, but right now it's going to be another Garage. There's the Nano Swarm drawn out, some damage taken.
Quick enough from Foxy9. Texture, it's kind of rotating back and forth across B as well, but now smoked off, doesn't see too much. So it does keep the Genji players closer towards the C site, and that's what that pressure does.
Yeah, you still haven't seen anyone push fully out from A main, so RRQ hoping that it's just going to be a reset on the default here. But the real question is Foxy9 holding close on C main.
The drone, you know, a little bit there. Texture made a bit of a movement to try to force RQ to think about Garage, but they actually just doubled down. More players being sent through, and that's going to be the opening kills into the site. Foxy9 this time not quite able to hold. Texture, though, with a bit of a spray, will be able to find Jemkin, so not too bad still. A bit of an opportunity for Genji.
Yeah, and just waiting to launch that as soon as the attack happens. Smoke going to clear. Kushi still waiting. Turret comes online. There's a recon. It's a quick hit from Xfero. And that should be shutting down the retake. Xfero good for another. And that's going to be the save from Yeoman. A bit of an uncharacteristic death from Munchkin, trying to cover for Texture, but he stays a bit too long and gets sniped out by Jemkin on the swing out from backside. And that really spelled trouble for Genji. Yeah, Texture, you know, he trades it through spam through the smoke, but already you've given up so much space.
And ultimately, that's what gives RQ the win and the site. Starting things off on a map like this, you know, I was thinking they looked pretty good, RQ, playing against TFM last week. Being able to shut down Mei that much. Now you're seeing Texture coming in with that Neon, and so far, especially on this defensive side, you know, not really finding too much successes just yet. And converting that bonus as well definitely does make you think, or at least give you a lot of hope for RQ to maybe find a little bit more.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if RRQ continues to just pressure the C site, right? Not only is it where Foxy9 is, and now you know kind of what his setup is, but traditionally RRQ, both Coach Ewok and then Warbird's when he was with Team Secret, the way they broke the Korean teams on Haven was always hitting the same site. Obviously, we all remember the 13 rounds, the 12 rounds of A site from Team Secret. So we'll see if they continue to do that right now, going for a bit of a switch up when they have the weapon advantage, but we'll keep our eye on the next round when it's buys on both sides yet again.
Always playing those mind games. But for now, Genji, you know, hearing that little bit of early shots now stacking up towards A. 4 players on this side, I should say.
It's a good stack.
A little bit. Thinking of peeking out long.
All right, waiting for it. It's going to be a multi-swing with Texture, and there he goes. He's trying to weave, and there's a good paranoia, the spray down, and support from Karan An instant triple kill from Texture. The trap play works wonders for Genji as they get their first round on the board.
It's ridiculous and amazing how he's able to swing out like that, even with RRQ trying to set up some kind of high-low with the trajectory of the entire area, you know, up around the stairs. But it's that relay bolt, the slide back, the flash out from the other side from Karen as well. Just nothing that RRQ could do when they were pelted with all of that utility in their face, and the war cries sound out.
Yeah, Karen once again really becoming just the bells and whistles here for Genji to get them riled up. Jemkin now trying to get ahead. Okay, focus back onto the A site. No switch up, trying to make sure that Genji has to be on their toes. No attention given to Garage or B.
Yeah, none whatsoever. So Foxy9, you know, is looking pretty comfortable right now, and also relaying that information to his team as well. Right now, it's just Texture inside of short, you know, continuing to jiggle. Smoke's coming out in towards heaven, though. Should be a bit of a tell for Genji at least. So 3 players very ready to receive if they do push out. The toxic screen already propped up.
Yeah, you know there's been no pings on C main from the turret, so that's why Genji is so confident. There's a drone out, but Jemkin gets ahead of it with a nice little peek.
Lovely. And now the drone already spent as well.
Yeah, Smoke's out. Munchkin holding a close angle. If he can survive, it could be good. He's going to get one. Is he ready for another? There's the Rolling Thunder. Munchkin's hit as well. He's trying to hide behind the toxic screen, but they can't get in just quite yet. Munchkin, he's still holding strong by A short. Monyet taken down. They have to clear out Munchkin, but they have to clear backside as well. It's just too many angles. It's just too many members of Genji as Yo-Man holds strong on the site, and Genji get a second on the board.
What a way to hold things down. Despite the Rolling Thunder, despite the attempt at a hit from RRQ, right? Jemkin getting that opening pick with a peek out against the drone. It just wasn't quite enough because of how Munchkin is able to hold down this portion of the site, and also effectively sectioning out everything else. You know, you got to think about backside. RRQ kind of comes in and tries to re-clear it, but they can't do it. Too many players already receiving all those hits in kind, and Munchkin just continuing to hold and be that thorn in their side. So next round coming through now, and they've bought up the op. Texture, here he is. In towards C.
Yeah, and you can tell that Genji now knows that they've done enough work on the A side to scare RRQ off. So they're holding towards B, and then a fast push out of C main as well. The only place to go right now for RRQ is going to be that B site. There's the paranoia, but Jemkin, he's ahead of it. He spots Omen. He gets one kill. He instantly gets traded by Foxy9. Foxy9 is back on the site. No one gets through.
2 kills and 1 through the smoke. Nanostorm to continue to fend off and hold as well. RRQ, I mean, what can you truly do? Needing to kind of hang back. I mean, the spike is on the ground. They want to pick it up, but all the angles being held. Foxy9 on the other side? No way! The toxic screen comes back up, and they're looking for some kind of a lucky spam, but nothing's being found. 50 seconds left on the clock. They still have quite a bit to play through.
I mean, a save is something you have to consider here. Yeah, look at the positions, because you just don't know how far everyone else is pushed up. The spike is way too deep on the site. There's no real options, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was an early timeout, because I have to imagine, being on the attacking side, that you had quite a few plays in mind to get ahead of the game in the first half, and if that's not coming to fruition, the coaches may want to remind their players on what they prepared.
Yeah, what we saw in the pistol round definitely worked out wonders, but now, these 3 rounds from Genji, I mean, trap plays, just Foxy9 doing his thing. You really need to find more solutions, right? Thinking back to maybe that triple peek down C, but this time, you know, you're thinking about Texture with that op, and it's still being hidden. So RRQ, just a full save all the way through. Will we see that timeout?
And we'll see. Obviously, it partly depends on the calls as well within the player comms. The players are starting to figure things out. Maybe you have a little bit of faith. It is quite early in the map. The Foxy9, yeah, that confidence really starting to come back up, and there is the timeout from RRQ. And I have to imagine that maybe a bit of that macro, right, trying to force their way onto that A site twice in a row. And there was a mistiming there, too, where they were trying to push out Munchkin, but the 2 members from short, Cushy gets caught, but Monyet pushes out before the main force is able to get in and pressure back site. So lots of small things to retool, but the more important thing is you have 6 rounds left. What does the macro look like round to round? And what have we noticed so far in how we're not able to break through A or B side? The only success they've had is going to be on that C side.
Yeah. after the pistol as well, so that's when they had firepower. But right now, with the full buys coming in from GenG, texture on the op, there's a lot that GenG could do. You're also thinking about how you want to work against that Viper wall from Munchkin that's just been so oppressive right now.
So that toxic screen, kind of the key part of why they were having trouble getting in through both the A and B site. Which is the B site, I mean, maybe trusting a lot in Jemkin, but Foxy9 quick for the trade. So now it is going to be pressure on the A side once again, but a bit of a default, waiting to see if they can catch texture perhaps on that push out. Because you imagine, you haven't seen him just yet. They had zero control over C main, and look at Monyet's position. He's waiting for something by the C side.
And Xfera with his turret outside of garage as well, so just a little bit more security too. There it is, right, straight down A long, looking for something. Texture peeking out though, so this is still information for GenG.
Yeah, but they did this last round. Now, RRQ wasn't quite aware of it, but it seems like they made the call that this had to have happened, given the positions and how they just didn't spot him. And Monyet doesn't quite spot him first. Texture, wary of that angle after the timeout. Oh, that had to have been the big call in the timeout, and yet it falls. The Omen gone. No smokes for RRQ on the attack.
Just fatal. Right now, I mean, how do you work your way around the mid-rounds? You know the op is there. Coming back in to challenge it, maybe with the fault line, sure. But Texture just instantly backs off, quickly sprints away. Foxy9 coming back in to relay and support the C side as well.
So you were able to push him away. At least you masked some of that information, but the turret is still there on C main. I think they heard it. So if you really want full control, you're gonna have to break that, but they don't have much time. It just has to be a hit. GenG, assuming that it's a full rotate because of the lack of information. Foxy9 once again alone on the site. Bit of a mishap there with the fault line. So they're slowed down just a bit. Foxy9 peeks out, but Xfera was ready for it. They shut down the Sentinel, and now sight opened up for RQ. Only 10 seconds, time being bought. Texture peeks in, and he's going with overdrive. Munchkin able to spray down 3 to get the lead for GenG.
Yeah, good attempt at the mid-round, right? You know, kind of slowly creeping back through garage, taking out Foxy9, but ultimately the damage was done. The player that got eliminated right early on was Monyet. That means your smokes are gone. So even though they managed to get through to the C side to get the spike down, or at least an attempt to get the spike down, these early sight lines from the back of C-Link from Defender Spawn were completely open for Texture to pretty much bounce and Goomba stomp on them all throughout.
And that C site now held as well. RRQ, I gotta imagine that in the server they're starting to feel that they're running out of options, trying to go for that default spam through the wall, pushing the op out of A main, but afterwards, what do you do? It's gonna be a re-clear with the drone, trying to set up Texture on an advantageous position.
There's that position.
So RQ's not quite sure if the op is here or not. I mean, that drone, it could just be the Sova re-clearing, it could be somebody else. They still don't know. Nobody's checking outside of C main either. So much mystery for RQ that they have to re-clear right now.
Hence, spending that Owl drone. This costs quite a bit from RRQ, but okay, majestic shot from Cushy out of nowhere.
I mean, you can't help but feel, but that's gonna be a double tap from Foxy9! What in the world?
What is this round?
The 2 new pickups, I mean, they're just so clean with it.
Jemkin at least made it a trade, so we're kind of back to square one with 3-on-3.
Yeah, but no controllers for RQ. Still double controller for GenG. And now Charon trying for it, and look at that transfer! GenG's pickups have always proven themselves.
30 seconds left.
As the spike is now stranded, Cushy all alone. Charon expects him. He gets the 3rd kill. And everybody coming online one by one for GenG.
I can't math correctly, but I think that was like 1 second. And he got the transfer. Yes, it was a micro flick. They're really close, but still so ridiculously impressive. And a bit of an unfortunate whiff for Jemkin because the trade wasn't quite there. And that is pretty much the round for GenG. You know, pushes out from both sides. Cushy, impressive as well. But down to it at the end, Charon is fired up.
And this is what we see a lot of teams struggle with against the Viper comp, is that you give it a lot of respect, especially once the op comes out. I mean, you don't really have an option, right? Because now you have to worry about the op, but then on top of that, the extra smokes as well. And once you start respecting that, you run out of time. You can't really push and pull across the map. RRQ struggling with that same idea. This time, we'll focus on
Yo,
the
yo,
C
yo,
side,
come
but
back
they're
again.
not getting the information they want. They're not able to bait things out. And the op has repositioned itself onto B. This is Gen G being way ahead. What a call from Munchkin, trying to stay one step ahead.
Yeah, right. Just making sure that they are able to kind of anticipate some of the movements from RRQ. RRQ also trying to stay hidden, mostly. You know, this time, back to it all. It's Xfero on the classic lurk, with the rest of the team slowly creeping up A. They got to deal with the smoke as well.
Yeah, they know that Foxy9 peeked out
Oh.
the previous round, so Xfero's ready.
Ah.
Fires a little too early, and how quick is Foxy9? That's a hit. That does draw them over to C site, but A was always going to be a retake, given the ultimates on both sides. Lockdown no longer available for Xfero, so RRQ, it's just a Hunter's Fury for Cushy in the post map. But meanwhile, look at the ult stack on Gen G. So many tools for this retake. The updraft just to fake them out. Cushy has been spotted. I don't think he realizes just yet. There's a blind op shot through the smoke. Jemkin waiting close. Lockdown available for Foxy9. Jemkin knows he has to get ahead of it. This is so much pressure on Jemkin, but he has to do it. They're gonna try to push them out. Jemkin hiding in the smoke. Does he wait for it?
RRQ bisa bertahan.
He's waiting for a timing. Okay, it's gonna get
Memenangkan
destroyed
round
with a util.
ke-9
Now
ini.
he gets to hold close once again.
Flash just to hold as well, up to the other side of the fast
Ooh,
lane. And
nice,
there's
Eric.
Jemkin!
Whoop.
A bit of a double kill.
Nice.
Monyet swings back up to the top. Estrella added support as well. And that just is enough to put up a huge roadblock against Gen G, who are trying to break through with their ultimates.
All right. So the other util being used against that lockdown, Hunter's Fury saved over as well. RQ playing for the long game, making sure that they have extra tools for the future rounds. Making sure that they don't get baited by the single lockdown. I thought maybe they would go for the high risk with Jemkin, but they actually just set him up perfectly for the same. Foxy9 is online though. Jemkin, of course, doing his own thing. Estrella still ready to trade for both of his teammates on either side.
Shows, again, things flowing pretty much smoothly for RQ, even when they're faced with adversity. That flashpoint from Estrella giving so much support up for Jemkin to set things up. The next round, though, and we are still looking at ultimates on both sides. RQ once again trying to assert a bit more presence across the map.
RRQ berusaha
Like
masuk
the late turret from Xfero.
menuju C dari mid.
Avoid that default spam and then just try to see if anyone's peeking out once again.
Ditunggu oleh Neon
Try to clear out Garage, trying to draw a lot of attention.
dengan
It's going to be
operatornya.
two members here.
Nice
Jemkin
Monyet.
gets ahead of the
Ernest
operator.
Jemkin.
That's Garage opened up. Operator down for Gen G.
Big pickup for RQ.
Jemkin
So
ngapain,
then
bro?
they're able to kind of spread a little bit more across the map. You know, minute left. Munchkin comes back in to refill that space that Texture kind of leaves.
Yeah, so this is how old Gen G would have played, is they would have pushed out from somewhere else and then regroup elsewhere. But the new Gen G working a little differently. Munchkin going to go for the re-clear, and they're still waiting for it.
Nice.
He tries to find a timing, but RRQ patient. Now going towards Foxy9 again. Foxy9, he gets one, he gets two. How many times will RRQ run into his open arms?
GG jadinya.
He's just here to kind of give them a good old hug. Unfortunately, it does squeeze them to their deaths, but now repositioning back into Garage. Oh,
Do they
Sekarang
know
flank
about the flank?
membokong.
from the back.
It's very fast. There's no util to watch for it. Nobody's suspecting
Oh,
it.
no.
They line up
Oh,
for the
no.
double.
Oh, no.
And there's Foxy9 with another 3K. The two youngsters of Gen G clean things up.
Unstoppable. Foxy9 again, you gotta take a
Unbelievable.
look at a replay because they're just kind of walking into a bit of an additional support smoke from Karen, and he kind of plays hiding
Terlalu lama
inside
dia
of
guys
it.
ya.
And
RRQ-nya.
although Jemkin kind of tries to get across, Foxy9 is able to react
Juga
so
orang
darn
gadang nahan
well.
dari belakang
And
buat flank.
Karen so quick to kind of come back in with that
Aku sih
support.
taruh bokong.
The thing is just with the two members coming in from Garage, it's not that RRQ necessarily played it so poorly. It's just that Foxy9's so ahead of it. He lets the jet pass, and he says, I'll get the first guy first, and then I'll fight you close range, and he's just so quick, so confident.
Have to be, especially after all those performances all across the day. But right now, back into it, it's RRQ.
Wah,
Once again,
Si
trying to
Asep
break across the
Genji,
defenses.
Cuk.
This time it's in with a Blade Storm, so maybe setting up for the hit. And Karen on the other side, Flash
Yeah,
does get sent through.
There's the paranoia, but meanwhile, you've already sent Texture down sewer, so you have another angle for the retake.
Ooh, nice.
Karen gonna get taken out. Backside now taken over. It's a clean and clinical execute, but do they have any idea about Texture? Doesn't look like it.
kena flank lagi ini.
Massive multi-kill. He waits, he panics, he's not able to get the double.
Texture.
But Spike's still planted for RRQ, and
Ente
it's
Texture,
just
ya.
going to be Foxy9.
has been doing so well so far today, but now against the numbers, bit of a hop up, and it's easily spotted out by Jim.
Miss dia tadi guys ya.
Last
I
round.
miss
Texture
you.
could have had an incredible hit there, but I don't know if you can really
Baka
blame him.
RRQ
It was
bisa
going to be impossible no
menyamakan
matter what, with so many members already on site.
6-6.
Meanwhile, credit where credit is due, going above the toxic screen for info, immediately striking backside as teammates ready to cover each other on the angles. RRQ waking up. Is it too late? We'll have to see, but they'll want to get at least 6. Round this out to a 6-6 half.
Making it close.
Rolling Thunder online, Jemkin currently 15
Mereka
and
masih
9.
berusaha.
More than 3 times the kills of anybody else on his team, really trying to
Enggak,
drag them
sekarang
across
ke
the
mid
finish
kah?
line.
Mid menuju sih.
Ridiculous.
Sama mati semua guys.
Now,
Oh
back
nice.
towards mid. Cushy
Oh,
though,
oh,
able to
oh.
snipe them through from the window. And there's the
Oh.
roll. They're straight in, collapsing through. But Munchkin's still able to shoot them down as it happens. Vanyan and Xfero finding those
What
trades, and now a
happened,
bit
guys?
of an opportunity. A 2-on-1 against Genji's Yeoman.
Yeah, using the lockdown to make sure that Yeoman can't approach anytime soon. Yeoman, does he try to go and delete the lockdown? No, he's just going to hold back, sees if they push in, but he will just take his time. He'll go for the reset. At the very least, the lockdown was used before it was planted, so he still has some time. But it's just going to be a far and away. You can hold with that one way, so even with the pings being nerfed, you still have some sight lines. Trying to get rid of those nano swarms. One will be popped to deny the second clear.
Revealing area.
Okay, checking out Covey. But, oh, it got spotted out quickly by Xfero, so he kind of knows where they are now. But hit
Yeah.
by the flash.
Not sure if there was a reposition there. Yeoman, his sight lines are being bothered. He just hopes that they will peek. He has to tap for another, and Xfero just swings out for that third kill. Tight 6-6. These two teams just can't get enough of each other.
You gotta love it. If anything, it is entertaining Valorant between the two teams. Down to it, you just might think Genji starting to find that huge lead. Foxy9 being able to put up those big performances, incredible holds. But just as it starts to happen, RRQ comes in with some set plays of their own. First it was through the toxic screen, up and over. Then the next round,
Bagus juga
straight
ya.
in with the Rolling Thunder down mid.
Plannya kayak
Kushi
gitu,
finds a bit
di
of a
smoke
frag,
semua momen kayak
then
gitu
an
guys ya.
opportunity to deal against
Jadi
Munchkin. And once that's gone,
dikus
all that's left, Yeoman,
tikus
2-on-1.
musuh bisa kehalang tuh.
Masterfully and perfectly played outside of C-Long.
So now a bit of a reset. Obviously, Haven with the 3 sites traditionally favoring that attack side. But especially when it comes down to that Viper composition, it's all about the control of that toxic screen. We imagine at the very least in the beginning of the half, you'll go for that A lobby toxic screen all the way through A link. And now many teams have seen it, right? And I mean, Munchkin, he pilots it very, very well. One of the best on this map. But we started to see it slowly get broken apart last year as well. So we'll see what RRQ has prepared.
He did look, again, pretty good against DFM last week, and Jemkin was one of those players who were able to shut down those neons. Back then it was May, right now it's going to be Texture. Obviously a different team, but you're thinking about how that performance could really kind of carry forward with the confidence into today. I mean, he is up by, what 13, maybe 14 kills right now?
Just
15!
Yeah, 15 and
Jemkin!
10. Yeah, Xfero following up at 8, but slowly everyone else on RRQ will have to wake up. All right, showing off the Genji Classic with its trophies there. A little new addition of that feature for the 2025 capsules. Ooh,
Nice,
okay, big chip damage onto Genji.
Bagus ya.
All right, that's a lot of
Besok
members.
semua.
Xfero gonna have to play it safe. It's gonna be down
nice.
to Cushy.
Nice.
There's the crossfire. He gets 2, and
Nice.
they're all stuck there. Look at the fault line, just keeping them tied up. Spike down. You can retrieve it, but it's starting to look very tough for Genji.
Yeah, Cushy down low. He doesn't want to give up the alt orb either, so he's actually hiding back safe. The smoke comes up just in time as well. I mean, look at RQ just playing the numbers game right now. Genji, you know, maybe double back or hang back, find another opportunity.
I don't mind this from RQ, especially given how low Cushy was, and you just weren't sure if they would go for a fast flood in no matter what. But now that they've made up their mind, it does have to become a retake. And, I mean, I would be a little scared, right? Just because Karon's still alive. And Yeoman, he's had his moments in the past as well. So with Cushy being so low, we'll see. Genji, you can't completely write them off just yet. Karon's going to try to get ahead of things. He's going to allow Yeoman to just go for the plan himself. See if he can cut off that rotation.
Light shield
Spec-nya udah diambil ya?
Heron too, so that actually is an added potential. But right now, at least with all 5, you know, they do have all that utility to work
Wah,
with.
kok kalah nih lucu
Heron's
sini
kind of
guys.
leaving
Sekarang.
Yeoman alone now, straight in towards spawn. He spots all of them out, but doesn't quite have the opportunity to spray through. No shots connected, and that's just a 1 HP Yeoman. Yep, stunned up.
I love how he just tries to hide right around the corner, like, surely they don't check. Surely.
I'm gonna go stealth mode.
Yeah, exactly. It's like those cartoons where you just hide around the corner, they all run by. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Honestly, if it was a ghost, I think Karon probably maybe gets a couple there, but with the frenzy, it's tough when you have so many targets. Just sprinkle here and there. Now let's see what
would be an interesting prospect.
Sama Fosi guys.
Shinji has come in with these performances thus far.
Yang GG yang lagi
just the Sheriffs. Yeah, they don't
menyala-menyalanya
traditionally
ya.
go for it. They trust in their Sheriffs quite a bit. And this time it'll be the same thing. Meanwhile, Outlaw for Jemkin.
That's right.
Dia pakai
Still though,
elbow
it's
nih.
kind of being tossed aside because of that toxic screen from Munchkin. So he might be able to hold it at the very least. Munchkin has managed to slip through onto the other parts of the map though.
Yeah, chase through with the fault line, support from B site. So you know the breach was somewhere closer to C-Link. Ooh, a little bit of chip damage up against Cushy. Yeah, that's a lot actually. Chipping him all the way down. Regen armor comes back up.
Genji berusaha ke mid,
Yeah,
ke mid,
as well, thanks to that fault line earlier on. So maybe looking for a quick way to slip on through. The nano storms and everything getting broken apart as well. Aftershock just to keep them at bay. So a bit of kill against Foxy9. That was not so bad.
Yeah, and look at the setup on A as well. Cushy prepared to provide support on B if needed, but he can still watch Jemkin's back if Munchkin comes back in. Meanwhile, 2 people still stacked up to hold on to B side. However, if the Neon is able to create distance, the C side hit could be a bit dangerous. Monyet finds one. Counter paranoia goes out.
Ketahuan mah. Pajak nggak ketahuan guys.
Is ready, so setting up for it again. Oh, Munchkin actually just comes back in off of that early distraction. Straight into the A side he goes.
And that's a massive pickup. The Outlaw against RRQ. 2 members at a 1 hit.
No way.
Do you go for the repeat? Cushy is the one who's he gets taken down. They're trying to push him before the reload. It's a good push. But are they trying to play for time? The spike still gets planted no matter what. Estrella's stuck. He doesn't have a way out from the snake bite. Texture, he's holding close. There's the relay. Boom, he catches all of them. And Genji will get their 30.
What an incredible round from Genji. Just Munchkin being able to sneak through with a thorn in their sides, just continuing to prick and prod at them so many times with that ghost. Down to the final moments where they just buy a bit of tension in the C site, sneaks on through, gets that kill against Jemkin, and that's the Outlaw picked up and everything else as well. The snake bite at the end of it, just the cherry on top.
But this is something we knew about Genji last year as well. They won't give up until the very last second. So Munchkin leaves that extra option open. We talked about it with Munchkin, Texture, Meteor, the ones who will always deep lurk until the very, very last second of a possibility of a rotate. And RQ, they just kind of slip up on that focus. Cushy leaves that window open, tries to rotate a little bit too soon.
He hasn't really, maybe had that experience against Genji before, so now, you know, needing to find that out on the fly. But as it goes through onto the next round, we start things off early. You know, no guns for RQ, yeah, but Genji's like taking this really, really carefully.
I mean, tied up at 7-7. You know you don't want to take those chances. It's a trap set up by a lobby. Munchkin starting to sense that something is off here. A main completely left open. Yeah, meanwhile, Monyet just going to hold for a cheeky little kill by C Long. So Munchkin's going to make the call that it might be a stack over to C, but I wouldn't be surprised if they still suspect an A short trap as well. This team's so thorough.
Ada menunggu 2 orang.
Moment of truth.
Oh.
Kim sama.
Okay, trying to fake that out. I don't know if that was a bit too hard of a sell right there with the recon bolt.
Long guys.
No, they still managed to make it through the backside from the long. Cushy now swings out. Oh, there's the kill from Jemkin. Stashes on through as well, but inside the smoke, the shawties will come out. And that's going to be Genji being able to find those 3 kills to capture the site.
So Genji really slowing things down once they catch sight that it's more than 1 member. Monyet will get 1, but that should be the end of it. Estrella stuck up at heaven. Low health, Monyet gets taken out. And Estrella will just be looking for any picks he can get. That's gonna be none as Texture finds him through the wall. And Genji leads 8-7.
So still GenG pretty much being able to keep themselves in control, despite RRQ's best efforts to play some tricky games against them. Just being able to come in with the utility to play it safe enough. It's again just how a testament to how GenG is able to stay ahead of the game at times.
Big safe win. They're back with the co-celebration.
8-7, yes!
All right, RRQ back with another bye. See if they can regroup. A high-low setup on B site. Meanwhile, the Killjoy constantly being focused on A to combat that toxic screen a bit with that passive info. Estrella, he's caught out, but no! It's going to be Jemkin who gets a double alongside Estrella's 1. So 3-1 trade in favor of RRQ.
All outside of B as well. Now this is a RRQ that has to be respected. GenG might be able to retrieve the spike, but where else could they truly go? Karen trying to stay inside the smoke in case anyone does kind of get ahead of it by going inside of the cubby, but it's not quite going to happen. So another smoke comes out.
And they leave C side open. They still trust in that turret over by the A side. Turret gets taken out. So that's the call for Xfero to slowly go back towards A. You know there was no one aiming just yet because of that alarm bot, but you don't know how far they've pushed in from A short, so they'll leave that open as well.
And a deep smoke from Karen in towards, closer towards A-lane, block off spawn.
Oh, but this alarm bot not being clear, that might be the trouble for the remaining 2 members of GenG. I mean, it's a 2v4 as well, but we'll see. Do they try to identify it early enough? There's a smoke coming out, draws Xfero back, alarm bot. Is there a spray? There is, but he's not going to take his chances. You have the numbers advantage. RQ wants to keep that.
Nice.
Tries to deny the default plan. It's just out of range.
And maybe a chance for Karen, but no, gets shot down by Jemkin really quick in. And just going to go through as well, despite Xfero jumping down. It's going to be Jemkin getting a quad kill to put themselves back up 8-8.
I mean, it seems like the writing's on the wall for how long this map is going to go, but both teams really trading blows back and forth. Looking at the economy, GenG still okay for this next round. Obviously, that thrifty turnaround allows the bank to stack up. Was a good high-low setup from RRQ, but how many more reads can you get ahead of time at the start of the round? That's the big question right now for Estrella and company.
Yeah, needing more rounds on the board, because right now GenG definitely has quite a bit of variety at them. Next one coming up, once again, it's just going to be that full buy up, and oh, okay, the judge from Xfero inside the garage.
Yeah, just working with the credits you have, but that causes a different setup as well. Turret and alarm bot focused on B and garage. You still have Estrella there to try to buy time, but can he get ahead of the Neon is the big question. Here comes Texture, he can't,
nice.
Oh, he does get the kill! Gets him on that flick over with the spray, and then the aftershock to deny the plant as well. GenG right now caught within the B site. Munchkin knows he has to push ahead, try to gain a little bit more space. RQ respects it. Cushy trying to push back up with the ball line. He's not able to get it. The flash is late, but Estrella still gets the trade.
Not too bad. Oh, towards the back, spotted out by the alarm bot as well. So Jemkin needing to deal a little bit with Foxy9. Spots him out, tries to play around the walls, but not quite enough. The flash does come out for a bit of an opportunity for Estrella to kind of get into the site, but
nice.
Only good for the one. That still is enough. Nice. The numbers being found on the other side as Jemkin takes down the back line and into the site. The defuse for RRQ to come up with the lead.
Yeah, getting back in the lead. And I just want to say, Foxy9 has clearly done enough damage that Jemkin fully respected him in that duel, right? They spot each other, and the moment Jemkin doesn't get the first shot, he resets with the Cloudburst and tries to create another angle. Eventually, he wins out. But, I mean, the way Jemkin was playing last week, it looked like he was just ready to duel no matter who came into his crosshairs. But given how many rounds that Foxy9 has gotten for GenG, the respect given over, and that safety secures the round here for RRQ.
Just trying to find more ways to come in with that retake.
All right, Rolling Thunder online for Estrella. Hunter's Fury as well. Big ultimates for the retake. You do have a Hunter's Fury for Yeoman, who's 3 and 10, by the way. Really not able to find that impact here on Haven. A fast hit. Pit available as well.
Whoa. Ult's coming possibly out more online for GenG as well, but Jemkin able to shut things down for the time being. Instant kill up against Texture. And as it continues to go on through, the Hunter's Fury as well from Yeoman, but Cushy still able to find a bit of a frag on through.
I mean, that's everybody down. While Yeoman was trying to scout out and do damage, the entire
Ayo,
team gets shut
Pinjoy.
down, and it starts with
Pero,
Texture just
pero,
not being
maju,
able to
pero.
really expand space
Maju,
and
pero.
create space on the site. Chemkin
Pero.
holding a high angle, ready to combat any sort of Yuto coming
Oh,
through
dia pakai
because
apa,
there's
guys?
no
Pakai jet,
breach.
guys.
You're not in danger of a rolling thunder.
Oh, nice.
Okay. I don't see sights like that every day, but the judge still doing wonders for Xfero. And Rolling Thunder Hunter's Fury saved on the side of RRQ, so now you can use that to combat things like the lockdown coming out from Foxy9.
There it is, that elevation. Even with the slide on through, truly showing once again that Jemkin has put in the work in slaying down Neons. The rest of the team there ready and able to receive as well. Just a little bit unfortunate for Yeoman to be the last one left alive. That said, next round comes on through. Genji starting to run out of money. You have 3 ultimates though.
Just waiting for any type of push out, but it's going to be a full-on send. The judge once again in the hands of Xfero. I mean, they've seen the judge so many rounds. Okay, they hear it. Yeah, there's the spam. They're not taking any chances.
Thanks to one recon. That's all it is.
That's a good multi-peek. Jemkin ready for the far angle, but it's just too many people for him to drag down in time. And now RQ starts to get curious. Gen G, I mean, they've been doing this entire series. They say, all right, you want info? Come out and get it, because that's when RQ oftentimes falters. Despite not having the numbers, can RQ stay true? They'll take out the drone, and Cushy will back off.
Yeah, a little bit restless, right? I mean, still enough information to kind of double back in to hold out this A site. But Gen G are so comfortable now, being able to play in this fashion.
Cushy might look to use Hunter's Fury if they don't hear the tap until the 30-second mark. We'll see if the delay is going to be something they want to bank on. It could backfire.
30 seconds left.
We'll have to wait and see. Tap coming through.
Oh, mereka macam di
Not
B.
going to happen just yet. RQ holding on to their ultimates.
Oh, itu tes sudah aja tuh. Oh, nice.
Still now though,
Whoa.
Cushy from the
Oh,
side,
nice.
able to find a bit of a double kill.
Oh.
Does connect, but Karen jumps ahead of it, takes down Estrella, and it's all up to Cushy. 1-on-2, he tries to go in for that stick, but a little bit spotted early. Half HP, half spike, but Karen out from the other side. And unfortunate for Cushy, despite his best efforts, it's Genji striking back.
Dude, how much more cosmetic can this stun get? That was a ridiculous drop shot from Karon. Oh, we gotta see it. That has to be part of the replay match. We can't skip forward. We have to see it because, okay, Cushies, that's great. Oh, we're gonna skip it. Oh, I mean, that was so ridiculous. He gets launched forward.
I know.
He just instantly swivels. I mean, yes, it's close range, but still.
Ridiculous with how Karen's able to play in this way.
Well, you still have the buys, but that's the Rolling Thunder, a big ultimate use, and that's relief from Gen G, not having to deal with that breach.
Stun is just a stun, and he's able to play outside of the box that way, despite the status effects. Now, next round, and that's right, a bit of spam through and inside of Garage as well. Gen G still trying to look for some of these players.
Yeah, Xfero's still sticking with that judge, so really just saying, hey, my job is to hold on to Garage no matter what. Trying to draw them in, because he hasn't died just yet. It was the same setup, so Gen G suspects something is up, but they just don't have that information just yet. There's a drone, instantly the swing. Jemkin's somewhat ready for it, but the drone, I think, might have blocked one of the bullets as well. Meanwhile, there's a Hunter's Fury, doesn't get any kills.
Yeah, trying to fish for it, but unfortunately, Gen G quick to evade all of it. Now potentially maybe looking to tie up the score as 5 of them regroup back to look to find a hit against Cushy. There is that kill. Texture instantly trades back, and that's the A side opened up as well. Estrella might be in position, but everything's smoked off.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, you are going to have the credits, so I imagine you go for another attempt here. Also would expect another timeout, but Munchkin holding the flank. Xfero not suspecting it at all. Fault line will be used for an attempt, but Magnet, he just doesn't find any targets just yet. Waiting for Munchkin to re-peek onto Ignite. He gets taken out from below. And Texture, he's warming back up.
Slowly but surely. It's always been good for those kills up on towards top of heaven. Down to the last one left, and that's going to be the save for RRQ. Gen G. Oh, he went for the hunt.
Yeah, Texture, I mean, he was the only one that really was close to his ultimate. That's not filled up yet, so now 2 away from the overdrive. That could still be a big one. Wouldn't be surprised on a timeout, but either way, would love to see an operator come out for RRQ as well. Not something they've been utilizing. I know Jemkin's been doing great with the rifle, but if you're able to just completely ignore Seaside with that operator, help set up the Killjoy util on A-side once again, because that was working wonders for your passive information. That could be a turnaround for RRQ.
Yeah, or at least to try to get ahead of it, but
not going to see either of those just yet. RRQ, but they are going to switch over the Killjoy to that A-side.
think of different ways to work against a potential Neon slide out, but right now, with all that utility in, it's just texture all the way through from the shadows towards the back of spawn as well. Monyet sniffs it. Now he's looking out for Karen, but at the same time, gets the read that the spike is headed over onto him. So gets ready with the paranoia, flashes out, and everything connects.
Nice.
Spots out the kill on towards Foxy9. And it's also Karen getting slayed down by RQ.
Texture.
Really great call from Monyet to get prepared over by C-Main, reading that it was an entire fake by the Neon. This is just RQ reading exactly what the plan was off of the from the shadows, then the sprint in from the Neon. Munchkin still gets a kill. There's still a chance. It's Gen G, 2v4 at full health. You have Pit available.
And a lot of time to work with as well.
Scanning ahead.
Several players on the other side, but at least with the recon, just retrieving more information that there are players out towards C.
So the turret is still watching A short, but not over to A main. No sound gained yet. This should be the Pit used, I would assume. There's not really any better chance to use it on attack as that Viper. And I wonder if RQ is going to have an answer for it. They don't have the drone. They do have the recon.
And Jemkin alongside Monyet as well, so it still is a lot of numbers that can come out for trades.
Apakah dimenangkan Gen G ini, bro? Vipernya ngulti.
Despite the Viper's Pit, has the shorty, but plays and hugs closer to the wall instead.
It's going to be a full drop. They recognize that the Pit is only for A lane. No spike. Yeah, if it's planted on default, it's going to be outside of it. Yo, man, they should have suspected the turret, pinged him earlier on A short. Now they realize their mistake. Munchkin, does he find the timing? Jemkin gets one. Munchkin, he peeks out and is ready for it, fishing for the Viper in the pit. And RRQ will once again take the lead.
What an incredible round, an incredible read from RRQ. They had the numbers, they had the plays against, an attempt at a fake from Gen G. Early slides in through to A side from Texture. Karen in with the from the shadows towards the back as well, but Monyet just so quick, so ready to respond. And down to the final moments as well, just able to counter that Pit by going up from the top of heaven. All four together as a team, the power of friendship truly shining right now in this moment.
Gen G still has the creds for rifles as well, trying to prevent match point from happening. Going for that counter spam, not going to find any targets. It's Killjoy set up once again on that A site. Lockdown available for Xfero, so we'll have to keep an eye on his position if he's able to pull back far enough to try to reclaim that site. There's no Hunter's Fury on the other side, just lockdowns on both.
At least for now, just sensing that drone.
So Gen G has the read, right? If the turret is here, that's really just hampering our ability to create these lurks with that toxic screen to mask that information. So now the question is thrown back to RRQ. Will you go for a read? Will you come back out into our sites? Cushy answers with a drone first. Left a little bit open, but the alarm bot there to guard A main.
Okay, there it is. Nanoswarm as well, just to keep and hold them off. Lockdown getting deployed in this moment.
Yeah,
Gen
onto
G
the site.
presses on the offensive. Cushy inside the smoke setup by Monyet. At least able to land one kill. Straight up from the back as well. Cushy on for the next.
Oh, Pussy, what the hell is that, Pussy?
Cushy just coming into everyone of Gen G right down.
Pussy!
Xfero plats the bait and rails him in, and Cushy is able to secure the kills. I mean, anytime he's in these frantic fights, just look at how locked in he is, and there's the transfer. Match point for RRQ. Can they stay patient enough to finally get their long-earned revenge?
Gen G ini, bro, time outnya.
It's always been Gen G taking that win. 5 losses against the Korean Tigers, but right now, right at the precipice of crossing that finishing line.
Oh, you can tell, yo, man. I mean, we all saw the scoreboard. He's probably being really harsh on himself right now, but you don't have time for that. So hopefully the coaching staff, Munchkin, the core team, they're able to bring everybody back together and see if they can barrel through. Meanwhile, Warbirds and Ewok making sure they go through all the possibilities. The Killjoy setup, while noted, again, at the end of the day, wasn't successfully broken thanks to that lockdown. So presumably they go for something similar. But the real question is Gen G, do they have an answer for the C site? They haven't really paid attention to it in the past several rounds.
Not too much except for the one round with a bit of that fake play. But right now, I mean, still needing to deal with that early pressure again.
Half armors, regen armors, Judge, Guardians. I mean, the Guardians are where Gen G's at their scariest.
Yo, RRQ, menangkan round ini RRQ.
It will just be your lockdown. So if you can secure a short, try to get through.
At least looking for it, working alongside that toxic screen again. Drones out.
Yeah, but look at this setup. I mean, RRQ, they just want to fight them here. They want to deny the lockdown at all costs. And Gen G, they want to fish for this information, but will they survive?
Wah, jangan
the
maju dong.
Estrella gets ahead as well. High risk play.
Aduh, Estrella.
But oh, this is a fast
maju
break.
ya?
You know that they're not set up anymore for it.
Straight up.
Sabar aja mereka kayak C ini, gue yakin ke C mereka guys.
Some pings from Gen G as well though, trying to call for a quick mid round in towards Garage and C.
Oh, I don't know if they're going to be ready for this fast wraparound, especially because the turret is watching mid.
Uh-oh.
There is nothing to signify that there is an absolute wraparound. Overdrive comes out. Monyet, is he going to stay on side? I imagine he would have to leave.
Wait.
Inside the smoke though.
Doesn't have much of a chance. He's getting sprayed down. Monyet down. No controller, but the fast wraparound. Can they get a kill? Munchkin gets taken down. Gen G now realizes they're trapped on the site. They have to push out and create space. They haven't planted just yet. Planting for backside.
And the lockdown just to buy a bit more time, push them off. I mean, that was the
Nice!
wants to go even faster than RRQ, but the Hunter's Fury being pulled out in time now. RRQ finding the numbers against them.
Caron with the read. He realizes it's a full wraparound as they didn't even care about the lockdown. Can he hold on to that smoke? Holding close range. They have to suspect this. It's a pinch coming in from Garage. Jeff, get ready for it.
Nice.
Caron gets traded by Xfero. Texture. Alone in the backside, Foxy9 now refilling it. Two members of Gen G left up against the three. It's a crossfire. Estrella, last alive as the IGL. Can he beat out Foxy9?
Done!
And Foxy9 will breathe life back into Gen G once more.
Just dragging them back in from the depths. Just even with the spike ticking away as well. Estrella was already running out of time. What a play by Gen G. Maybe they didn't quite have the read against the back, right? But still, going that quick into the C site, putting down that spike so far towards the back, in with the lockdown as well. Just keeping things ahead of RRQ as they tried to set up that flank.
Monyet looking for a cheeky kill in that smoke.
Texture
had the read on the timing. Oh, and that's gonna call for the timeout. I mean, this always feels like a bit of a gamble, but RRQ cooling things off, resetting. So close to being able to actually be ahead of Gen G, knocking them down. It's not about the match win anymore. It's about, can we stay in the upper bracket? Can we stay in the running as we push Gen G close to the cliff? One round left, one last chance before overtime where everything goes back to square one.
That's what it all comes down to, at least. Calling a timeout on the defensive side, not too bad.
RRQ,
Think
jangan
some
extra
of the
run
decisions
RRQ.
and how Gen G might play out the next round. So far, it always has been the early 8 hit.
We'll see what the discussion is, because I feel like a full switch up on the setups of Killjoy is a bit of a gamble. You still trust in that default? Yeah, they do. It's going to be the Killjoy setup, but it's the op in that last round. Ooh. But this could come back to bite them if they have to give up A site. So right now, the plan should be that they have to use everything they can to delay on A, to push them back to C, just like they did last round, into Jemkin's crosshairs. That's really the only option, because if you lose any members, if you give up too much space and they have to retake with that operator, it's gonna spell trouble for RRQ.
Akhirnya mereka pakai operator juga ya.
That and turn back. Orc it's further in, straight in they go.
Nice.
Makushi's there and ready to receive. But Texture able to slide on through.
Estrella
Pedil.
is trapped.
Oh, bisa
Just watch too many
RRQ.
angles. There's backup now with Monyet. but it's a 3v4. Smoke will dissipate soon. Look at the positioning of Gen.G. They're spread out. They're ready for it, and they're gonna gun him down. Down to 2 members. Monyet tries to re-clear, but now it's just Jemkin with an operator. 2 members, 1 standing in the cubby. One of them has to enter outside. Meanwhile, Spike still being held in hell. The patience from Gen.G waiting. And Jemkin also waiting himself.
Spike planted.
Did he spot him? Yo-Man seems to have. Waiting for it, waiting for a timing on the arrow. No, Gen.G doesn't know just yet. Munchkin spots him, they know it's 7. Jemkin, there's so few options. Can you pick up a rifle here right at the entrance? They're ready for it. They realize that he doesn't have much of an option. Munchkin swings out, and it's overtime. We go again.
Overtime.
Gen.G!
Switching sides.
Just when the op was pulled out for them, they managed to go in that full commit, plant themselves firmly inside of the smoke. I mean, continuously strafing just to throw off Estrella. Even with Cushy being able to gun down at least 1 or 2, still wasn't quite enough against this Gen.G, who are able to stay on top.
No timeouts from either coaches. We go straight back in. RRQ on the attack. Jemkin at 26 kills. Munchkin slowly catching up with 20 on the board. And now it's an operator for texture. Going glass cannon, looking to shut them down. He'll meet him. It's going to be an A hit.
Standing ahead.
Oh, the blind shot, and it has to be Monyet! The smokes are down. RRQ already out of options.
Just fate is signaling once again. But can RRQ take their destinies into their own hands? Monyet being downed.
I mean, this is
hurts him so much.
Oh, he hides away. Drone hasn't spotted him yet. It will now, and he gets pushed out. That's the site opened up. But they have no smokes to delay the retake. So they will have to fight.
Spike planted.
Fight is what they do best.
Jemkin holding that angle on the boxes, ready for the recons as well. Drone comes out first. Who's ready to eliminate that information? Jemkin will get spotted. Nano Swarm gets popped. Second one cleared.
Time continuing to tick. The rest of the team holding out from the short just to mark that heaven angle.
Jemkin's gonna be the real answer, but he doesn't have much health. He's spotted, he gets 1 off the drop, he gets 2, but immediately Gen.G will absolutely clean the site and get ahead with 13 rounds.
Unfortunate through that smoke with the op kill. No more smokes available for that post plant, just made things that much more difficult on the delay. The Nanoswarm bought a bit of time, but down to it all at the end, Jemkin was only able to get a couple. Too many players from Gen.G, and they all had the same game plan in mind, working together to break down the post plant from RRQ.
This is just a hard read, recognizing that it's going to be a hit because you saw that he uses the slide just to get ahead. It was always meant to be a blind shot in because of that choke point. Now a switch up from RRQ on the defensive positions. Turret used on B site, alarm bot just to check for information in garage.
Still though, Gen.G comes back straight in towards the A.
Cushy holding a dangerous position. If he drones here, there's no backup, but there's no one to follow up from Gen.G just yet. Counter drone being used, they recognize the elevation. Jemkin gonna have to show that he's dropped. Oh, look at the fast clears. Gen.G, they've picked things up. They struggled a lot with that macro, but now both sides pressured already. RRQ doesn't have much of an option but to hold the default.
Just need to keep those players there, because if not, well, it's potential leaks. That said, it does afford for Gen.G to set up this C split.
But look at Estrella. He's already ready with a fault line all the way into C site. It's meant to delay any sort of execute, any sort of plan. Here's the snake bite.
Smokes as well.
Sphero waiting for the peek out. Still no information. Estrella still holding, but Gen.G, they're all here. It's going to be an absolute flood in if they choose to go. There's a paranoia. They're jumping in, jumping to the back of site. Charon gets 1. Charon gets 2. He opens up the site. The ball line finds no value. Estrella trying to get ahead of things, but it's going to be Charon with 3. The rookie is back, no longer a rookie. Experience under his belt, already an international trophy, and he holds close. Could it be the ace to close things out? He gets the spray, eventually falls, but Texture will finish it, and Gen.G reigns supreme once more in 2025.
Closing things out 14-12, just staying so ahead, even in overtime. They dragged themselves across it all, but out at the very end of it, everything, it's all Karon. Such an incredible player playing inside of those smokes and taking those fights head on with a flash to clear out the backside against RRQ.
It almost, the way that last round plays out, it almost felt like Gen.G just dragged out this map to really download the entire setup, recognizing that it was going to be a weak C site. It always has been. It's never been full Killjoy util. And then they just creep in with smokes across the board. You want to hold back site, that's fine. We'll go right up to the line of scrimmage so that the breach cannot provide that long range assistance. That's how Haven has always played. You're never going to fully risk all 4, all 5 being in the back of side of C. It's just a hard read from Munchkin. What a call. And Karon is there to answer.
Unbelievable. Repeatedly, it happens again and again, especially towards the end of it all. Despite the best efforts of RRQ, unfortunately, they fall to fate once again. This is now 6 wins against them.
Yeah, it's just their kryptonite. And you know, we were half and half in the predictions, but one thing was true. It's always bangers between Gen.G and RRQ. The winners of Masters Shanghai continue their path towards Masters Bangkok with a hard-earned win against the new RRQ squad, knocking them down below. And now we'll get to hear from the winners themselves.
Hi guys, it's Bella with the post-match interview. Congratulations to Gen.G and GG to RRQ. I hope Xpero gets well soon. And I am going to have to talk to Foxy9. 안녕하세요. 오늘 승리 너무 축하드립니다. 네, 폭시9 선수 인터뷰 한번 무대로 모시겠습니다. 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. Wow, a long day today for Gen.G. I feel like all the fans need to take a breath. How does that long day win feel like? 오늘 정말 너무 긴 하루였습니다. 일단 한숨 좀 돌리시고 경기 승리 소감부터 한마디 부탁드리겠습니다.
일단은 이제 승리를 해서 정말 기분이 좋고요. 그리고 첫 상대가 이제 강한 RRQ라서 승리가 좀 다른 팀들보다 좀 더 뜻깊은 것 같고.
Thank you ya.
첫 맵 같은
Oh ya,
경우는
bentar lagi gua
첫 맵은 첫 맵. 여러분 아시죠?
mau main Forest guys ya.
칠하게 있기. 폭칠9.
Jam
Of
10
course,
jam
the win
10-an
feels
mulai.
really good, and I feel like it's more meaningful because it
Sudah
was such a
kelem-kelem
hard
waktu
game
lagi ya.
against RRQ. They're very strong.
Kita break
And,
dulu.
everyone, please
Kita
forget
lebih kurang
about the
sejam,
first match.
30 menit
Just
sejaman.
chill out.
Kita akan live
Focus,
lagi main game
chill night.
The
Alright,
Forest.
I did want to ask you about what you guys
Bye-bye.
talked about after Fracture for you guys
GG
to
bang,
be able to
GG.